Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the March 23rd, 2026 Portsmouth Town Council meeting. If you would all please, I'm sorry, I almost skipped the emergency evacuation pledge, which, we got plenty of first responders here, so I think we'd be okay either way. In the event of emergency, we would please ask you to exit through the door you came through, the exit that is behind our wonderful police force, or the one that is behind Mr. Reese. We'll all go across the street to the school department building and then wait for further instruction from our first responders. Now, if you would all please join me in a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence for our men and women in harm's way. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Gleason?
Here.
Ms. Blank?
Here.
Ms. McDowell?
Here.
Ms. Patton?
Here.
Mr. Piero?
Here.
Mr. Reese?
Here.
Mr. Hamilton?
I am here. Thank you. I have no executive summary, but Mr. Gleason wanted to say a couple words.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank the Newport City Council for inviting us to the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and hopefully we'll be invited again in the future. And Mr. Rayner, if you would just reach out and thank Colin Kennedy for inviting us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason. This evening, we're going to start off tonight with a presentation of a recognition of the award of Patrol Officer Noah Payon from the Police Department for Officer of the Year. Normally, these are given out in September at a ceremony at the Glen House that the Police Department puts on, but Noah is going to be activated to active duty and be heading off to Africa. So we're doing it now. And as you, I didn't tell you this beforehand, but as you go home tonight, if you have your thoughts and your prayers, if you could please say one for Noah as he heads off to serve our country. Chief Peters.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. Again, we greatly appreciate you allowing us to have this here tonight. Like you said, we're usually down in September at the Glen Manor House, but we didn't want the year to go by us and the new year without recognizing Officer Payon for this distinguished award that we have in our agency. So if I could have Officer Payon come up to the front here, please. Members of the council, members of the public, tonight is my privilege to recognize one of our officers for their exceptional service to the town of Portsmouth. Portsmouth Police Department continues a new tradition of selecting an Officer of the Year, highlighting a member of our agency whose performance consistently reflects the highest standards of our profession in our department. For 2025, the Portsmouth Police Department Officer of the Year is Patrol Officer Noah Payon. Officer Payon has demonstrated an outstanding work ethic, a strong commitment to duty, and a clear dedication to the mission of the Portsmouth Police Department. Throughout this past year, he distinguished himself through professionalism, initiative, and service-oriented approach to policing. His reliability and performance did not go unnoticed by his supervisors. In fact, Officer Payon was repeatedly selected as Officer of the Quarter by supervisors on both the overnight and evening shifts, a testament to the consistency of his work and the respect he has earned within this department. Officer Payon's productivity in the field also reflects his dedication to keeping our community safe. In 2025, he handled 74 incidents, made 61 arrests, with 29 of those arrests being for individuals driving while impaired, and enforced 959 traffic violations. This demonstrates a proactive approach to the public safety throughout the town. In addition to his patrol responsibilities, Officer Payon has exhibited a strong commitment to community engagement. In 2025, he assisted with the Portsmouth Police Department, with the Portsmouth High School Criminal Justice Pathway Program, participated in our department's holiday toy drive, and helped support community events such as our Halloween Trunk or Treat, Coffee with a Cop, and National Night Out. He also represented the department during several statewide national highway traffic safety campaigns aimed at promoting roadside and roadway safety. Officer Payon's positive attitude, his willingness to serve, and his commitment to the residents of Portsmouth make him a truly deserving recipient of this recognition. Officers such as Officer Payon represent the values we strive to uphold every day in this profession. On behalf of the Portsmouth Police Department, I am proud to present Officer Noah Payon with this award for his outstanding performance and achievements, recognizing him as the Portsmouth Police Department's Officer of the Year for 2025. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations, Officer Payon. I will give you all 2 minutes to skedaddle. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't want. Congratulations, and please be safe on your deployment. Okay, next up, we have our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All those approve? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Threw us for a loop there.
Motion passes 7-0. Sorry. Next, we'll be sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. First up, we have a entertainment license for Ragged Island doing business at 54 Bristol Ferry Road for their annual Ragged Island Music Festival to be held this year, June 13th and 14th from 12 to 8:30.
Mr. President, prior to approving this, would it be fair to hear from Mr. Gray and/or the police chief? Any comments on this matter?
Mr. Gray is here for the public hearing, I'm assuming. Yep, there he is. Thought I saw you walk in.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you. Yes, we are here once again to ask for permission to host our Ragged Island Music Festival. It's been well attended. A lot of locals really enjoy it. So we'd like to be able to host it again this year, June 13th and 14th.
You have letters on file from the police and fire department.
We do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We try to get all the proper approvals and hope that the town appreciates what we're trying to do there.
Absolutely. Motion to approve the entertainment license to Ragged Island Brewing Company.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have peddler's license, mobile food establishments for Triple Deuce LLC doing business as Seb's Wood Fire Oven, 222 Wood Street in Bristol. Marina Lucia Lopez Year-On doing business as La Lancheria, food truck. Bear with me on that one.
Loncherita.
Thank you, Carlos. And the next one is much easier. Bittersweet LLC, 23 Alder Street in Cranston. I have a motion to approve the 3 peddler sites.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have a new annual victuals license for Iron and Oak Kitchen LLC at 500 Anthony Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have a new Class F1 daily liquor license for Travel Tavern LLC, 190 Summit Road Drive, Cranston, for a welcome reception at Newport Polo Grounds on June 2nd, 2026, from 5 to 9 p.m.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have 2 licenses for the Portuguese American Citizens Club's annual St. Anthony's Feast. One is for their entertainment license and one is for their victuals license. Both are requesting a fee waiver.
Well,
What is the council's pleasure? And I will tell you, we've had a couple of requests not to grant the fee waiver. I don't know if everybody got that, but it was sent into town hall this morning. Just
I did.
to approve the license, but not the fee waiver.
I had, in matter of question, what was the reason behind the request for the fee waiver?
One was because they don't believe they're a true nonprofit. And two, just because of insurance reasons.
Mr. President, for me, and in view of the situations they've been through, I think the least we could do is approve it with the fee waiver. And I would make a motion to do so for the entertainment and the virtual license.
I'll second your motion.
Before, Mr. President, if I could ask, what's their reason that they're not a true nonprofit? I don't know, and maybe the solicitor, I don't know if you've had, okay, I wasn't privy to the letter, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't see it
They-
either.
The concern was that the majority of the revenue for their nonprofit comes from liquor sales, was the person's concern. If you want to table this, I could send out the letter to everybody. You can read it and research it, and we can do it at the next meeting. That's not a time sensitive since it's not till July.
If there's any, as long as there's no objection to it, if we could.
Yeah, I didn't receive a
Okay.
letter, so,
We just table it to the next meeting.
I didn't know if she had sent it to everybody,
okay.
whether it was blind seat, so. If you would take back your second and if you guys want to hold it off to the next
That's
meeting,
fine.
we can do
I
that.
don't have a problem with that. I'll
It's
take
not till,
back my.
not till July, so it's not like they need it next week
Okay.
anyways.
Sure.
That's
I'll
okay
take
with
back
everyone?
my second.
We could ask them to come in and, make
They
their
want
case
to
as
answer.
well.
Okay. So do you have a motion to table it till the next meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second. So, take your pick, on that one, Jen.
You choose.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Have a motion to adjourn from the Board of License Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have our minutes from the 3/9/26 meeting. Any corrections or adjustments?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, Town Administrator's Report. Mr. Rayner.
Good evening, Mr. President, Town Council, ladies and gentlemen. With respect to the next fiscal year budget, we will finish a reassessment of the proposed budget early this week. This is due to the unanticipated and significant increase in the health and dental premiums for the next year. The school committee is planning to conclude their review of the school department budget at their meeting tomorrow, and they will also rework their proposed budget incorporating the higher rates. The proposed FY27 town budget is still on track to be submitted to the council at the end of this week. With respect to the Cities for Cities that I had mentioned a couple meetings ago, I've continued a discussion with the program regarding a potential municipal partnership with a community in Ukraine. We've been provided with a few potential partner communities that are similar to Portsmouth, and we'll be reviewing those as the next step. Again, this is a voluntary, non-binding exchange focused on sharing ideas and best practices. There are no financial commitments or formal obligations being proposed. Cities for Cities, as a reminder, is working to schedule an initial introductory meeting with a potential partner community, and I'll keep the council updated as this moves forward. Just a quick update on the abandoned and derelict vessels issue we raised during our legislative priority sessions earlier in the year. As you know, we've been advocating for DEM to fulfill its responsibility for removal and reimbursement of abandoned vessels as municipalities have been carrying this cost. Earlier this month, we received our first reimbursement check from DEM for a 2023 case. That's an encouraging step and reflects the recent dialogue between our legislative delegation and DEM. We do have additional cases in progress, and we are working to finalize documentation so those can be submitted as well. I'm pleased to report the Portsmouth Fire Department has been awarded a $1,000 safety enhancement grant through the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust. The funding will support the purchase of ladder safety belts for use during aerial operations, which will greatly enhance firefighter safety. This is a reimbursement-based grant, and staff will be coordinating the required documentation for submission by a May 1st deadline. The department will also be recognized at the Trust's annual Loss Prevention Awards luncheon later this month. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Mr. Gleason?
Just one quick question, Mr. Rayner. The amount received for the 2023, did that cover our expenses? Or is it just partial? I see Chief shaking his head there. Yeah, because we had, I think on this set of bills, we had 2 more bills for $2,500 apiece. So it's not a cheap ordeal to get rid of these boats.
No, it's pretty expensive, and if you remember from the brief, the frequency that people are abandoning boats is increasing.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Rayner? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up, we have resignations and appointments. We have 2 resignations, one for Mr. Dwyer from the Bristol Ferry Town Common Committee and one for Mr. Parks from the Harbor Commission.
Motion to receive with regret the resignations of Mr. Dwyer and Mr. Parks.
Yeah, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. And next, we have a reappointment for the Conservation Commission for Mr. Ritt.
Motion to reappoint Brandon Ritt to the Conservation Commission.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. On to old business, monthly finance report. Ms. Marsden, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President and Honorable Council. As of the end of February, the town was 8 months or 66% through fiscal year 26. Year-to-date general fund revenues were at 68.03 of the budget, primarily driven by tax receipts, real estate transfer fees, state aid, and interest income. Year-to-date general fund expenditures are at 64.94% of the budget. Significant cost drivers there include the debt service payments and snow removal. In light of the last month's snowstorm, expenditures are being closely monitored on a weekly basis. As of the most recent check run, the general fund snow removal appropriation and its associated reserve have been fully expended, and additional funding will be required to cover the remaining cost. We anticipate receiving some remaining invoices related to this event and will provide an update in the next monthly report. As reported last month, discretionary spending remains frozen. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Marsden. This is, I guess, for either one of you. Mr. Rayner, have you heard anything new on the potential for reimbursement due to the state of emergency and from FEMA?
No, the paperwork has been collected and submitted by the Emergency Management Director. It could take months to hear back from FEMA.
Okay. All right. Mr. Fitzmaurice, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Larry Fitzmaurice, 50 Kristen Court. Do we have an estimate on the end of year status balance?
Whether it'll be in the red or in the black, how much of a surplus?
I assume in the black, but
Yes.
surplus.
I cannot say that as of right now. I do have the snow fund. I'm looking at with taking the general fund appropriation and the snow reserve, I'm still needing 127,000, which is why spending has been frozen. So I cannot give a surplus or a deficit at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Have a motion to receive and place on file?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have new business. We have a request for approval to renew the Potter League contract. The Very Happy Potter League. They just got a very nice endowment. Chief.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm here this evening to request your approval of a Potter League contract agreement with the town of Portsmouth for the years 2026 through 2029. We're looking to continue our partnership that we've had for extended several years with this agency. The new agreement, as you see, would raise our current rate is $42,000 to go up to $45,000 per year. However, that rate will be locked in for all 3 years at $45,000 for the contract. So I'm seeking your approval to approve the Potter League contract 2026 through 2029.
Any questions from the council? Ms. McDowell?
So I saw that under Section 3, record keeping and reports, do we receive quarterly reports as stated in the contract? Do we, the town, the council, or?
In regards to the animals that they, if you want, if you refer to which section they're referring to, but in regards to the animals that they keep for us down there, they do work with the animal control officer. Which section are you referring to, Mr.?
I'm looking at under Section 4. The league shall submit an annual summary report to the town manager. Do they do that?
I am not aware of that. The director share is here. I don't know if he has, would like to comment on that at all.
We're happy to submit the report annually. We share records with the animal control officers, so every record that we produce is given to them as the animals come in and out. If you'd like a summary report, we can certainly easily generate those.
Sure, that would be great. And the summary report, A to E, included the reports in those areas. So you'll respond to the contract and do that, and we'll, maybe Mr. Rayner will give us a copy, or even in correspondence, that'd be fine.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McDowell, I can't tell if you're looking for actual statistics of what we had. So last year in 2025, there was 71 animals brought to Potter League, included 27 cats, 32 dogs, 1 duck, 2 rabbits, 1 tortoise, as well as 8 deceased dogs and cats.
A
Thank you.
tortoise,
I'm sorry?
a tortoise.
A tortoise.
All right. So I hope she was easy. That was easier to catch than the dogs that it looks like that.
Was,
Is it?
not as much as a fight.
Have a motion to approve the contract with Potter League.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next up, we have a public hearing for Ragged Island for a noise variance that they've been approved for the past couple of years. Specifically, we're looking at the dates of June 13th and 14th, and also their Wednesday night series, which will be June 24th through September, August 26th. And then Sundays for July 28th, July 12th, 26th, August 9th, 23rd, September 6th, 13th, from 1 to 7.
That was June 28th, not July 28th.
My bad. June 28th and July 12th, sorry. A motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have a affirmative decision from the zoning board of review with an approval. Any questions for Mr. Gray? Any questions from the audience or online? Going once, twice. Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We have a motion to approve the sound variance, the same situation we set up last year.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I would make a motion to approve the variance with a maximum level of 75 dBA per ordinance, chapter 257, as we did last year.
And Mr.
Second.
President, I'm going to continue, you could say, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
No, I should have let you second first.
sorry. Second your motion.
We'll get it right
And
eventually.
Mr. President, I will continuously give my objection to giving a sound or a variance to the sound ordinance that has a cap, because it's no longer a variance. So Matt, just so you know, it's a no vote for me, but it's because it's not a variance.
Sure. My concern and the reason I do it is if somebody has a complaint, they can lodge it, and people have lodged complaints, but they have been found to be less than the 75 dBA, and it kind of protects the neighbors at the property line. If they monitor the sound, there shouldn't be any problems. And that's what that happened last year, I believe.
Yeah, it's professionally monitored.
Yeah.
For each match.
So-
Okay, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you, Mr. Gray. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And happy birthday again. Next up, we have a public hearing for our community development block grants. We will take these in order. So our first one will be for A.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. So these are for community development block grants. The first is A, which will be provide 40 affordable housing condominiums on the corner of Sprague and Bristol Ferry Road. And B will be affordable housing, provide funding for recovery housing to be located at 79 East Main Road and to be owned by Community Blessings Foundation, doing business as Healthy Living Recovery. So we will start with $680,000 for Bristol Ferry Town Road for church community housing. Mr. Plain, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Council President Hamilton, Town Councilors, staff, and well-wishers, residents. You did a great job of encapsulating the two applications before you. I'm here to answer any questions about CDBG or the CDBG program. The applicant from Community Blessings is here. If you have any questions for them, if there's anything as you'll all remember, part of the CDBG application is the council has to pass a resolution endorsing the activity. There are two activities before you. Unlike in the competitive round, these are both for the affordable housing round. We don't have to prioritize them. You can if you like, but we don't need to do that tonight. So if anyone has any questions about CDBG or the CDBG program, I'm happy to do my best trying to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Plain. So we're going to start with item A, which is the affordable housing on Sprague Street. I just don't want to get them confused. If everybody wants to come up and make a comment on that one, we'll start with that in this portion of the public hearing. Mr. Carcella. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
Rested from your nice vacation?
I am.
Good.
Thanks. Sal Carceller, 63 Leaps Road. I'm not sure which ones I'm like out of order but
We're going to start with just the one at Sprague Street.
and will you do
We're going to do the other one separately.
what's the other address?
It's 79 East Main Road.
Hold
There are two different types of projects. One is for recovery housing and one is for,
on. What about the one at 13 Bristol Ferry Road with Sprague Street?
that is it. That's A.
That's the one I'm up here for, right?
Yes,
now.
sir.
That's the one I want to talk about.
All right.
All right. So indulge me for a minute in just allowing me just a couple minutes. I'm not really off topic. Has to do with Sunny Acres Mobile Park. It's deeply,
So, just do me a favor, just get a little bit closer to that mic, will you please?
oh, sorry.
Just want to make sure everybody in the back. can hear
So
you.
I want to bring to the attention of mainly the general public, but it's deeply concerning to me. What's going on at Sunny Acres Mobile Park? Why are 126 units not counted as affordable housing? I'm not looking for answers. I just want to
Yep.
put forward
I can answer that.
some
though.
thoughts, but hold on. It's a $600 a month HOA roughly. Recent sale prices from $100,000 to $200,000. Many owners owe nothing on these properties. They basically live in these homes for $600 a month. I mean, I'm not going to get into the nuances of what's affordable, what's not, and how HUD defines it. But as a township, this is a real slap in the face. That to me sounds very affordable. If this park closes, we will effectively lose 126 affordable units in Portsmouth, yet Portsmouth, the state of Rhode Island, nor HUD care about helping these residents. What can Portsmouth do to assist in retaining these affordable housing units? Keep in mind that you do not need to qualify for any state or federal program to gain access to these units. They are affordable and available on the open market. No subsidy required and no approval process needed. Where will these homeowners go? Just this displacement alone would consume all the new HUD affordable inventory in Portsmouth, and it is far more expensive housing than the Sunny Acres housing. Portsmouth support for the church community housing project and abandoning the longtime residents that currently live in Sunny Acres, I asked the town council to take time, slow down, and answer these questions. All right, now I'm going to move on to the actual items I have for the Bristol Ferry and the item on the agenda. I decided to do a little research because I just wanted to get educated. The property at 13 Bristol Ferry Road was purchased for $500,000. $125,000 came from taxpayer program, RI Housing Era 2 site acquisition program. The remainder of the $375,000 of the acquisition is being financed with a note held by the seller, meaning the seller agreed to defer payment rather than accept the cash. Church Community Housing has zero out-of-pocket costs in this property at the time of the sale. Town of Portsmouth contributed no taxpayer funds at this time. That's good. A quick glance at affordability and what it means in Portsmouth. So a two-bedroom, I did some homework, statistics from real estate. A two-bedroom condo in Portsmouth, average cost for a two-bedroom condo today is $600,000. That's a lot of money. We all agree. if you're a new young resident, like my son, and many of us have children, grandkids, this is pretty unaffordable, I understand. But I want to point something out. How exactly is Church Community Housing Corporation going to help solve this problem? I contend it's not. See, the 40 units projected does have some two-bedroom condo options at various price points depending on your income level. They defined the base mean income as $80,000 a year. These are the options for purchasing a two-bedroom unit based on the AMI adjusted mean income. At 50% of adjusted mean income, you would pay $200,000 for the unit. At 80% of adjusted income, you'd pay $260,000. At 100% of adjusted income, meaning that young person's making $80,000, they're going to pay $300,000. And at 120, they're going to pay $380,000. So based on your income, you get an adjusted purchase price. But this is where it gets interesting. For example, if you make $80,000 as a young out of college or maybe a few years in the industry, working here, maybe down at the Navy base, wherever you work, you would qualify and purchase a unit for $300,000. But the same unit fair market value is $600,000. Who covers the additional $300,000? How is the shortfall typically covered? I did some homework on that as well. $120,000 of the $300,000 shortfall is covered in tax credits, comes from HUD and federal taxes. The other $80K is covered in government subsidies like CDBG grants. $50,000 is an allowance that the state allows a developer to do zoning density change allowance, helps the developer pack more units on a lot. So yes, that's part of the recipe. The other $50,000 is the developer agreeing to reduce its profits slightly in exchange for fast approvals and zoning exceptions. That's why we have the rush. The majority of the shortfall, $200,000, is wealth distribution through taxation. These 40 units are built under LMI deed restrictions. I have a couple questions I couldn't find the answers to. If you don't have the answers to these as a council, I don't expect you to provide them to me, but if you don't have them tonight, you should slow down. So, does the restriction offer a buyout option that would remove the affordable housing restriction? Or are these units forever affordable, or some expiry time at which they're no longer considered affordable? I couldn't find the answers everywhere I looked. I do believe that I've confirmed that all 40 units are deemed affordable housing. It is not mixed use. Okay, now here's a scenario coming back to our young people whose we're trying to solve problems for. If the majority of HUD applicants are at 50% average mean income, they will get priority over all other applicants. This is very different than a normal home purchase and sale. It's very possible that this type of affordable housing will not help our younger population. For example, a single young worker would not likely be selected because they're making $80,000 a year and they're at 100% AMI. While on paper they would qualify, they would never be selected because too many other applicants are at 50% or 80% AMI and they get priority. HUD government rules decide who gets the unit and how wealth gets distributed. Do potential buyers have to work in the local community? Do they even need to be employed? What about property taxes? This is one I thought of and I don't know the answer, maybe you know. Are the taxes paid on the full $600,000 evaluation? Or does Portsmouth provide some sort of property tax relief for these units by lowering the values of the units? If no relief is made for affordable property taxes, the new units will no longer be affordable. And if relief is made, it's not fair to the rest of the taxpayers. It's just another example of why these programs fail for the communities and people they should be helping. Here we will add another 40 units, and I'm not quite sure, I don't mean to bring this up, but it's at the end of the program. How's waste disposal going to be done for these? Why are we allowing 2 more large housing projects to begin prior to finishing the senior housing project that is currently being built across the street? Should we not wait till that housing project is finished so we can see the impact and benefit of the current project? Keep in mind, both these projects will affect the same roadways, intersections as the senior housing project we currently have in flight. Again, I encourage the council to slow down, put the brakes on, and don't approve too many of these projects at once. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. I'm going to ask Mr. Plain to answer some of the questions that you had. If you don't have the answers to all of them, I will ask our planner to potentially opine on a couple of the questions. And Sal, correct me if I'm wrong, if, I want to make sure I get to all of your questions, so if we miss one, let me know. Okay?
I'll do my best. So you asked about affordability. State law mandates that they must be affordable for at least 30 years. The way CCHC does its affordability is we do it through a ground lease rather than through a deed restriction, and that ensures that these properties will be affordable in perpetuity. So that's how we do it, how we've built a better mousetrap, if you will. So the other question you asked was about property taxes. So CCHC does pay property taxes on it, on the housing that we own. It's worth noting that nonprofits don't have to, but we always do because we have the same exact concerns that you do. We want to be productive members of the community and help with the tax base.
Great.
Nonprofits are tax exempt in the United States, right? So you know how Brown University doesn't pay taxes in Providence? So, nonprofits don't have to, but we choose to because we want to be, trusted and valued members of your community by law. But we do, and we always have.
Mr. Plain, hang on a second. Oh, whoa, time out. We're not going to shout from the audience. If you have a question, you have to come up to this, that way so everybody can hear you from home as well. Mr. Reese has a quick question. We're going to let Mr. Plain finish answering the questions that Mr. Carcella had, and then we'll move on to somebody else's questions.
Are the taxes paid based on the full market rate if they weren't LMI, or are the taxes on the reduced rate? Like if it's a 600,000, somebody pays 200 for it, they pay taxes on 200 and not 6?
We pay taxes on whatever you assess the property at.
So now I'm going to ask our tax assessor to come up.
I know somebody that can answer that question.
Well, we're answering the public's questions, yes. We can ask questions in between if we want.
Good evening, everyone. What typically happens is if there's a covenant or some type of deed restriction that impacts its value, that is considered. So typically it will reflect the ability, it would be able to sell to another LMI type person, a qualifying person. So typically the assessed value is reduced from the true market value if it was available to anyone.
Do you have a percentage? Is it a 50% reduction, 80%? Just a ballpark. It doesn't have to be exact.
I want to say generally it comes in about 85% of the market.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And I'll just note, because the gentleman that spoke talked about approving this project, it's my understanding this project has preliminary approval, and we're not here to approve the project tonight, right? We're only discussing whether this community wants to apply for CDBG funds to help finance this project.
Correct.
So it won't determine whether this project happens or not, what happens tonight. It'll only determine how it's financed.
That is a question that you just answered. Whether or not the town council approves the resolution to allow us to go for community development block grant.
Yep.
This project will still go forward. The
Correct.
town council does not have the approval authority of this. That belongs to the zoning and the planning board, which has already been through. We are not here to approve or deny this application of building the building. We're here just to approve or deny an application for block grant funding to help get the project started.
Correct.
Question on trash. It is a greater than 5-unit building, so they were able to use a dumpster if they needed to. Did I get all of your questions, Sal? Or did we get all your questions? Thank you.
Sunny Acre.
Sunny Acres is Miss Patton's fight right now. State law gives us 0.5 towards LMI housing, LMI requirement. And this is where I'm going to ask our planner to come up and discuss that.
Good evening, everyone. Per law, municipalities can count mobile units as 0.5, but the caveat is that the mobile homes have to be in a homeowners association, like the owners of the park have to be, it has to be owned by the park. Unfortunately, Sunny Acres and Melville, the two larger mobile parks in town, are owned by a conglomerate company. So they currently do not count.
So until, hopefully, the residents are able to get together and purchase the land that their homes sit on, they won't count.
Correct.
Can you, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you help me understand what you mean by 0.5% is counted?
Well, instead of one home being one unit, a mobile unit would be 0.5. So, Ms. Patton, there's 180, 140.
There's 126, so each one would count as a half point. So 2 homes would equal 1.
So you would get 60,
So 75,
So
right?
63.
63.
63 would count towards our ratio of LMI housing,
So-
that we have to be at 10% of all of our houses.
okay, that makes more sense. So
Okay.
50%, not point.
Well, let's be
0.5.
honest, it doesn't make any sense at all because Mr. Carcella is right. And we've been fighting, we, meaning planners and various state advocates have been fighting for years that a mobile home is really affordable.
Agreed.
Mr. Gleason?
So my question was, technically, is it a federal ruling about the 0.5 in the mobile homes as opposed to a state? I've heard that before.
As far as I know, this is,
The classification is a federal rule, no?
I'm just following state law right now.
Okay,
I don't know.
thank you.
Do we get all your questions, Sal? Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Of course, that's part of the problem
The
is
first,
that
the first start is,
I know how to speak into a microphone and I have a very loud voice. I don't really need it.
but I just need your name and
I'm
address.
Henry Bronstein. I live
Thank
at
you.
5 Karen Street in Portsmouth. Lived there about 5 or 6 years now. So part of the problem is that we don't, in the town, even find out about this until a week or two before it's coming before the town council. And then tonight I hear that we really don't have any say as to whether it happens or not. I don't know how it got approved, but we don't get any say about that. It's already approved. We can't stop it if we want to. We're going to pay, the town is going to pay for all the public services. When you say 85% of the value, is that 85% of the 200,000 it's sold for, or 85% of the 600,000, which might be market value?
It was answered as 85% of the market value.
So the taxes that the people pay are actually higher than what they paid for,
Yes.
what they paid for that. So they'll have a rate that's 85% of the $600,000 value. Is that correct?
That is what the tax assessor answered, yes.
Okay,
And
so then how did
to answer your
it?
question about approval process.
Yes, please.
When any developer, if you were a landowner and wanted to build 4 or 5 houses on a piece of property, your first step would be go to the planning department and then to zoning and then first to planning for a master approval. The town council only sets up the general zoning areas by state law. We are not involved with approving or denying any projects in terms of housing or development.
But the planning board is underneath the town?
The planning board is a self-governed body by the state of Rhode Island. We appoint the members of the planning and the zoning board.
Okay, and the number of units that was approved is greater than the number of units normally allowed on that much property, is that correct? I think you said that, right?
It is There were new state laws that have been passed over the past 3 years
And
that have taken away some of the zoning rights of cities and towns.
so the town itself, by that I mean residents, don't get any input into the planning board.
Yes, you do. You have the very same right that you're exercising right now in front of the planning
But
board.
I don't notice, I didn't notice any notices from the planning board about this happening or to discuss how many units would be approved or anything. Did that happen?
That entire process happened throughout the fall and early.
Public meetings.
Did it go into January? It was definitely in the fall. I can't remember. It might have been January as well. There was a number of public meetings, both at the planning and zoning as well.
And were those planning meetings as well attended as this one is?
No.
Right, because must have been very quiet because I didn't hear it.
It was advertised as it legally is needed to be. There was plenty of discussion on, I'll just say, the street about it.
All right, and so the question that the gentleman raised, this gentleman, about slowing down in order to see the impact of the current project that's already being done with the senior housing, that's off the table, right? Is that correct? You're not going to slow it down.
We can't slow it down as a town council.
Who can?
A person could, and I'll ask our lawyer, but a person or entity could, I assume, file a complaint with Superior Court and slow it down, but I think that's about it, right?
Somebody would have to have a standing and a right to file a complaint.
Does the town have standing?
Yes, but
So the town has say.
the town potentially could, but the way the laws were amended in 2025 by the General Assembly, the State General Assembly, they anticipated a number of these questions that you have. And so they prohibited towns from putting a moratorium, essentially slowing down all projects. They limited the grounds on which you can successfully sue and fight these developments. And they limited and we're not even sure quite how, because it's never been fought out in court, but they limited the authority of a planning board to say no to variations from the local code. So it was a very dramatic shift in the state laws. If you're asking who could solve this between now and the end of June, it's your state representatives at the General Assembly, because they could modify those changes that they made. And in fact, this council has asked them to do so.
You said a
number
person
of
could
them.
go to some kind of court. Can the town go to that court?
Yes.
And so we could voice our opinions that we feel the town should slow it down, and that would be something that the town could do if they wanted to. They could go
Actually, the
to court.
town's already decided to have the solicitor's office investigate that approach and propose a court action. And so we're in the process of doing that research and drafting as we speak.
All right.
But the
well,
question, I don't want to promise that it will be effective, right?
No, but it's good to know that it's being.
Scale too. That's on an overall scale, not
that's right.
specifically for this
And
project
that-
that's
yeah,
already
that-
been approved.
And that it's very likely not going to affect the current approved projects, because again, the way the law treats them, they're sort of grandfathered in once they get that preliminary plan approval from the planning board. So it's very difficult legally to stop somebody who has already gotten that preliminary approval, as church community has on the project we're talking
Are
about.
there members of the planning board here?
No.
I staff the planning board.
Sorry?
I staff the planning board. I'm the town planner. I staff the planning board.
Right.
I'd also like to
So
just
it
add,
would seem that a meeting like this would be pertinent to the planning board to attend, so that we could pose questions to them, since you're telling me the town really, in this instance, is,
If you wanted to pose questions to the planning board, you would have to go to the planning board meeting to pose questions to them.
catch 22.
I would like
I-
to also
I-
address you, sir.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to also address you, sir.
Yeah.
That you can sign up for alerts for any meeting, from the website. So if you are interested, it is a way, if,
I'm sure, I understand what you're saying. I'm sure you've heard many complaints before about the way information is transmitted in this town. And it's not the first time that I'm not the first person to tell you that people don't hear about it until it's too late. So I would ask, not particular to this particular item, but I would ask that the town instead of however you said it, there were notices, make efforts through, the Portsmouth Times. We all read it. That's how we usually find out about things. Make efforts to address these issues early enough so that the public can actually make viable and realistic efforts to affect outcomes that they believe would actually be in the town's best interest. I just feel that it never happens. I can't be the only one that feels that because I hear it all the time. I'm sure you do too.
I will tell you that the meetings are all posted in the Portsmouth Times. It's under legal notices. It's usually, that big of a corner of a page. So they're in there, but you just, rather than seeing the articles, you'd have to look at the actual notices.
And Mr. President, I would also add that the state has also limited the amount of lead time we can give for these hearings. So the developers have the right to demand an answer within a certain number of days. And so to say, well, we're going to give you 4 months to figure this out, the state doesn't let us do that anymore. It's not even permitted by law.
I'm not a developer, but I'm sure if you told a developer no, he would not stop applying again and again and again. So again, we should, if the town has standing, I would say that it, not just people, but the town at those planning board meetings should ask to delay based just on the fact that we don't know what the impact's going to be on the town. And I'm all for affordable housing. I would like that affordable housing went preferentially to people, as the gentleman said, who have children and, whose kids can't afford to actually live in the town they grew up in anymore. That would be great. I think that's a great thing. I just think the whole plan, it sounds like, the developers have not just have great influence, I guess, in the state capitol and have carved this out to their liking, and that as a council that represents the town, since you would have standing and you would know about it, it would behoove us to have you try to slow it down rather than we come here and be told we can't. Thank you.
Add to respond that even a delay could put you in a position where it's deemed an approval. So that's how tied the hands of the town are. Given,
I'm sorry, say that again?
if you delay and don't give an answer within the timeframes under the state statute, that could be deemed an approval of the project. So you lose your right to say no at that point. That's how that's how difficult it is to slow down a project at this stage.
Sir, I want to comment as well, if you don't mind. I was at both of the planning meetings for the Headley Street project, Sprague Street project. And they were well attended. I would say there were probably more people in the audience because most people were against the project. And but the planning board's hands have been tied by the General Assembly's rules that they've enacted in the last 3 years. Okay. The Speaker of the House is a land use lawyer, and he has written this thing very tightly. I came before this council to start with a moratorium, figuring we could slow this down with a 4-month process. They only allow you 2 months. We couldn't get anywhere in 2 months. So we are looking at a possible injunction. We are asking through a resolution we sent to all the other towns and cities and to the delegation to ask other towns to join us to say we don't want a one-size-fits-all policy among things. We have 7 towns there are 7 towns together at this point. Whether we get somewhere, it's a start.
Well, if you wanted
and
to
if you were
write
at
a
that meeting, if I could
petition,
just finish, if you were at that meeting, you would have seen the gentleman here go through a dissertation that says, we understand all your comments. We agree with you on a lot of things, but the rules have been changed and we have to do this, this, and that. And the rules right now are written for developers that want to do LMI housing, whether we want them or not.
I
And we don't
understand.
want them.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And I appreciate that you're making that effort. And I would ask that the town solicitor or someone, the council, prepare a petition that members of the town could sign, because I think if we got, there's 17,000 people in the town. If we got a petition signed by 10,000 people, that kind of thing has influence on politicians. And, I would like to see that happen. And I'm not qualified to write the petition, but I think the solicitor probably could, because he would understand the laws and understand what's unfair to the town and to residents of the town in those laws. And it could be pointed out in a petition. And I'd be happy to take it around to the dog park, to my fishing buddies, to the people I know.
Sure.
Not that many, sadly, but,
I'm
it just,
I'm gonna
it
guess
just,
that you said you're new.
this is very enlightening and actually very encouraging to see that you actually have approached this. But I think that then it's up to somebody like us to say, okay, like, get a petition and let's go to the Speaker of the House, because he's a politician and he needs votes. And if he,
Fortunately, the Speaker of the House only needs about 2,500 votes, the way Rhode Island is set up.
No, but he needs votes to get his elected to his district.
He only needs
He has no
2,500
problem
votes.
getting them.
But I appreciate it.
All
I'm
right.
going to ask one thing though, and thank you for your comments, and this is not necessarily directed at you. I'm going to ask that we try and reel this back into specifically about the approval for a resolution to the block grant and not an indictment or investigation into the approval process of the land. We're not here to do that. It's not on the agenda. And if we go too far afield, I don't want us to get into trouble in terms of open meetings violations. So if you can keep your comments to whether or not you approve or disapprove of us applying for a community development block grant, specifically for $680,000 for this project, please keep your comments to that so that we stay on the agenda. Yes, sir.
How you doing? My name is David Souza of 25 Lowell Drive.
Thank you.
I don't think we should approve this, and I'll give you my reason why. That property on the corner of Sprague Street and Bristol Ferry Road used to be an old gas station. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
Yes.
When it went out for sale, I looked into buying it. The property was contaminated because of the tanks and everything that was in the ground. To my knowledge, that has never been cleaned up. So that contamination is still there. So that's why I'm saying we shouldn't approve it, because contamination there, because this could cost us a lot of money to get that cleaned up. Also, the building, reason why the building was knocked down, because it had in-ground lifts. They were leaking oil and stuff into the ground. In the back of the building had a waste oil tank in the ground that was still there. And to this day, I'm not even positive if they took all the tanks out, because that had 2 pumping stations, two setups. At that time, when I was looking into it, I think there was 4 tanks in the ground that was rotted and leaching. So that's my reason saying we should not approve this, because we don't know how bad this land is. I still have, and I'm pretty sure, and I'll try to find it, documentation from the state, because when I was looking into buying it, they told me I could only make it into a commercial property because of the contaminations, because you're only allowed to have, at that time, and we're going back, 60% of contaminated soil. Now, the state has new regulations. It only allows you to have 10% contaminated soil. So if we approve this and they start digging and they find out it's all contaminated, which it is, because it was a gas station, and we know back then, gas stations didn't care. They dumped their waste oil anywhere. They dumped their antifreeze. Nobody cared back then. Now it's a big environmental, which I appreciate, because that also saves our properties and our land from leaking into surrounding people's properties and their wells, because we used to have wells back then. But that property is contaminated, and it's been what they call, like I said, I'll try to find my documentation when I was in the process of buying that property, and I found out what it was going to cost me just to make it commercial property. It wasn't worth it. And that property at that time was going for $300 and some thousand, and that included that house too, the big house. And I'm trying to think of the realtor that had it. And when and that's why I never purchased that property, because the land has contamination. So that's why I'm suggesting that we do not approve this to at least find out how bad it still is there. Because if we allow this gentleman to build, and I'm for affordable housing, but this was a contaminated piece of property. That's why it sat there so long. That's why nobody could do nothing with it, because it was so contaminated from the gas station, because when they decided to close that gas station, they just left it. Everything, oil, batteries, that place was a mess. And like I said, I went through it. And that's why the building had to be, because they would have to jackhammer that floor to get those pistons out of the ground that was leaking all that oil and stuff. So that's why I'm suggesting that we, what they call, not approve this, because this could be a real problem for the town of Portsmouth.
Thank you, Mr. Susan.
And I'm hoping they did remove the tanks, but I remember seeing them dig back then, and I don't remember ever seeing, I've been in this town all my life. I
Thank
grew
you
up
for the
here.
Multiple iterations, thank you.
Excuse me?
Thank you for the multiple iterations, we appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
for your
so,
input.
I mean, the state would have records when they did pull those tanks and stuff. And what,
The state will be responsible for making sure that the units and the land is cleaned up to a level at which that,
yeah,
and if they can't
yeah.
clean it up, that's on them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if we prove this bond,
It's-
not
it's
bond, excuse me,
Block grant.
if we approve this, what happens to that money? Do we get that money back?
It's, the money is not coming from us. The money is coming from the federal government from a 24 block grant application.
Oh, okay,
This
I
is not, this is
I
not
thought it
local
was,
taxpayer money, other than the fact that we all pay federal income tax and
okay,
eventually it'll
okay,
pay
I
for
thought
that.
it was coming, the town of Portsmouth was, okay,
No.
my mistake.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's a
I
common
thought it,
mistake.
I thought it was coming to us taxpayers who were gonna pay
It-
this, and I'll say, okay, now we're gonna end up when they.
It's not coming directly out of your pocket that you pay property taxes for.
Yeah, but it comes out.
It's coming out of your federal taxes that you
Yeah.
pay, well,
Okay,
that they keep borrowing money for.
but I still, we should not approve this until we, what they call, I mean, I will be in contact with the state to find out what's going on with that, because you cannot put housing on contaminated land.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Mr. Grebe?
Tom Grebe, 110 Thayer Drive. I request that you do not endorse the CDBG grant request for this development. It is one of 5 developments that are dramatically increasing the density in that Turnpike Bristol Ferry neighborhood. There has been no study that shows this increase in density can be safely supported by the existing infrastructure. The studies done look only at one individual development at a time, not the impact collectively. All the infrastructure for traffic, water, electricity, and septic was planned or installed in the 70s and 80s under a one-lot, one-house planning assumption. This particular development tonight puts 40 units on 2 lots. That is a 1,900% increase in the density versus what would have been planned for. Combine that with the fact that the area traffic infrastructure leads to one of the only 3 exits from the island, the Mount Hope Bridge, which is having severe maintenance issues, and the potential for a massive problem is there. Our town comprehensive plan addresses LMI housing's need. Some of the key tenets in that plan are that LMI housing should be distributed throughout the town and not impact the rural character our residents cherish. Instead, this development continues the concentration of high-density developments in this one neighborhood, and the variance requested for height, setback, etc., clearly are not characteristic of a rural community. I also have concerns about the developer. The town's memorandum of understanding with church community is for the Ann Hutchinson and Cogshell school properties. After the public vote, which provided those 2 properties to church community housing essentially for free, we were informed that church community needed to focus on these projects sequentially. Now, instead of moving on to the Cogshell property, which would have spread their LMI development across town, in accordance with the comprehensive plan, this developer is pursuing another property less than a block from the other one in the same neighborhood, and then asking the council to help fund it with the CDBG proposal before you tonight. That switch raises questions about their willingness to honor their commitments that they make to this town. Unfortunately, there's a pattern which reinforces that concern. The church community, Bethune residents, was changed to senior housing from elderly housing. If you research it, that is a substantial change, and it was made after Portsmouth residents voted. The ball field has not been preserved as originally planned. Again, that came to light only after the public vote. No decision on restoring or tearing down the Ann Hutchinson building has been made to date. Preserving that building was originally a key part of the rationale for the church community project. If that building is torn down, do we get yet another large LMI complex in this neighborhood? Church community has that property for 99 years. Patterns like this cannot be ignored. Given this history, it is difficult for me to place confidence in any assurances that are being offered about this project tonight. Please consider all the factors: traffic, strain on the infrastructure, the substantial variances requested, the deviation from our comprehensive plan, and the concerns raised by the developer's history of not following through on their commitments to town residents. The responsible course of action should be clear. The state may have mandated the planning board's approval of this project, but the council's endorsing the use of taxpayer money to support the developer is not mandated, and it is counter to the interests of the Portsmouth residents. Thank you.
Mr. Fennessy. Good evening.
Kevin Fennessy, 2774 East Main Road. It always seems to be the case when there's a larger development going on, whether it's for low-income housing, whether it's a sports complex or whatever, that someone is trying to make a deal to say, yeah, maybe the state can give us some money. Maybe the town can give it. Maybe the city can give us some money to help support this project because it's going to bring this, that, or the other into the town. Now, I know that we are mandated by law to allow these projects or to help these projects proceed along. But if I were going to build or fund a project, and the first thing that I would want to do, number one, is to have a plan. Number two is to go to some funding source and say, you know, this is what I want to do. Can you support me in doing it? And they either say yes, no, or maybe, or they look at the plan and say, yeah, we can do this, but we can't do, you know, we can't do that. You're going to have to get the rest of the funding from somewhere else. Well, my question is, why is there $680,000 now needed that the taxpayers have to come up with? And I don't care whether it's the town or the state or the city or federal government. Why should we be on the hook for that money as a taxpayer? And again, yes, I know this is not coming out of the town of Portsmouth tax base, but it's coming out of federal funds. How many other federal projects are there out there that might be deserving of some or all of that amount of money that would benefit the residents of this town more so than this project? And I doubt very much that if Church does not get this $680,000, that they're all going to say, well, sorry, we're going to go home. We're not going to do this. the money's going to come from somewhere. And I don't think it needs to come from taxpayers.
Just for everyone's edification, it's a $20 million project overall, and all affordable housing is all paid for through federal taxes, one way or another. This is one small part of the financing of this project and the way the CDBG program works. And I'm probably remiss that I didn't mention this right away, right? But the way the CDBG program works as part of the application is the local town council just has to pass a resolution. But actually, you know, like, this is a $20 million project that the people of the United States are all going to pay for together. You, me, the people of Arkansas and Alabama and Alaska, all of us together.
And Bob, just specifically, the pool of money you're pulling from is specifically designed for LMI projects. We couldn't apply for this particular pool to build a community center. I don't know, maybe that's a bad explanation.
Well, so in this round of funding, we could not, right? You know, but we do at the beginning of every funding round have a public hearing that's just to say there's X amount of dollars available. Portsmouth intends on applying. If anyone has a good idea, please bring it forward. And in the beginning of this funding cycle, we did run an ad in the newspaper saying exactly that, you know, so if there are other good projects, you know, they can come forward in this funding cycle or the next.
Mr. Payer?
Thank you, Mr. President. But since I have you up here, question I asked when we went through this back many Decembers ago.
Yeah.
How many CDBG grants does Church Community Housing currently manage, or do you manage for Church Community Housing?
How many total grants? Let's see. Probably, I'm going to guess 20.
How many of them have failed?
0.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Fennessy?
Well, just one additional question. Why is it at this juncture that you're looking for the $680,000? And looking for an approval of getting an addition, that
Because
addition?
this is when the funds became available through the program.
I'm not following on that.
The $680,000 became available through the CBG block grant program through Rhode Island Housing at this point in time, so that's why they're applying for it now.
All right, well, what do you mean by this point in time?
Today, within this past 6 months. When did when did the funding open, Bob? Or-
It's been about a year now.
Yeah.
Actually. So we've been putting together the financing. For
Bob, come on up, please.
Sorry, everyone.
Thank you.
So this round of funding's been open for about a year now. If Portsmouth wants to delay, I know that they're planning on opening another round of funding soon. So we're really coming down to the wire for what we call the program year 23-24. So I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Well, it's.
Oh, so we just, after we got it, how we do it is we don't finance projects before we get approval. So after we got approval, we started putting together what we call our capital stack, right? How we're going to finance it. And we do it through a myriad of different government programs, one of which is CDBG. And when we noticed that we had a $680,000 gap, we said, let's see if Portsmouth wants to pass the resolution. If you do, we'll use CDBG to cover that $680,000. If you don't, I promise you, this project's still going to get built with taxpayer money one way or another. You and I are paying for this.
But how is it $680,000 may not seem like a lot of money in the total money of putting this project together? But why is it that all of a sudden you say, gee, we have a shortfall, we've got to apply more money?
As soon as we got approval, we started putting together our finances.
Well, this is not the first project that Church has done. I mean, you just said yourself, there's like 20 different, how many projects do you have that are going on does Church have going on on Aquidneck Island right now. Or have done, quite a few. I just don't quite understand why suddenly, all of a sudden, it said, it's like going to a mechanic to have your car repaired, and he said, gee, we were just gonna change the oil, but we found out you need brakes, you need, no, it doesn't work like that.
If you want afterwards, you and I can talk about housing financing, but really, we're just here tonight to talk about CDBG. So,
Sally, you got one more question?
Yeah, this one's related. So I've been sitting there contemplating something it's not sitting well with me. So the gentleman mentioned that they're a nonprofit and they owe no taxes, that they're doing tax payments out of goodness of their heart. Can I get some elaboration on that? I want to understand what the actual obligation is. Does that mean they don't have to pay property taxes legally? What are we talking about here? I don't want to understand what they're doing out of the goodness of their heart. I want to understand what they're legally bound to. If you could clarify that, are you actually saying that you don't have to pay property taxes?
I'm not a tax attorney.
Does anybody know the answer to that?
Gio, would you like to opine on it, or?
I'm not sure I follow myself. I don't know.
They're a nonprofit and they own the property.
Right,
Similar
but I'm not
to-
sure whether I'm not sure whether they're agreeing in some agreement with the town to pay, like a pilot agreement, essentially. I just don't know. I've never had that question come up on this project, so I don't know the answer. I assume Mr. Plain could.
So,
explain that.
okay, so I'm very confused about this because what we're about to do is add 40 units with no tax base legally, possibly. That's what I just heard tonight.
We're not about to do that. It's already been approved.
Well, how does that
Okay,
happen?
but we're
How
gonna-
did that get approved?
Because they're a nonprofit.
So how do we cover our expenses for fire departments, police departments, schools, everything we have to pay for? Who's going to cover that?
The same way we'd have to cover it if Roger Williams still owned, if a university owns a building and they're a nonprofit, we could enter into a pilot. They don't have to. The same way we cover Navy housing that doesn't pay property taxes. The same way we take care of St. Barnabas Church if it starts on fire. They don't pay property taxes. There are plenty of properties that don't pay property taxes that, out of the goodness of all of our hearts, we cover.
But these are homeowners that aren't paying property taxes.
We aren't paying property taxes.
Right.
In our
I-
50 years.
It's okay.
we've always-
I'm not
It's
asking,
okay.
I'm
It's
not,
okay.
no.
It's the thought process that
not
someday.
asking
Can I just interrupt for a second? Can I just ask that folks try not to debate with each other in the audience?
Yeah.
The people at home can't
But-
hear, so if there's a question, it should be addressed to the president. And
But
please
we-
wait until you're at the microphone to answer.
Here's my concern, Mr. Hamilton. Tomorrow, they get in trouble and they can't afford it anymore. First thing they're going to give up is making that property tax payment because there's no agreement. That's my concern. That's all. Thank you.
Matt, do you want to try and opine on it, or is it even not worth it at this point?
In general, a nonprofit does not make you exempt
Right.
from property taxes. There are some organizations that have gone through the General Assembly. It's Title 44, where they are granted exemption in their charter or from the state. I'm not sure if church has one of those with the state. But typically, in these type of projects, if there's some kind of rehabilitation, they typically pay 8% of their gross rent is what the tax bill typically comes out to.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tara Woods from 39 Windrock Circle. I just want to say thank you. It sounds like this body has recognized that there are some potential pitfalls with the changing of the state laws around building these properties. You had mentioned earlier that you had contacted surrounding towns and cities to see if they were interested in joining an injunction that you're possibly considering. And my question is, the first question is, what's the temperature that you're hearing from these other communities about whether or not they'd be interested?
I'm going to be wrong, but I think we've gotten affirmative responses from 5 at this point. Is it 7?
7.
7, thank you.
7 out of?
39.
Okay, thank you. And second, as a relative newbie, unaware of what that property previously was, sitting in the audience and listening to that there's a potential for contamination on the property, and being someone who is hypervigilant about the safety of children in this community, I would like some answers as to whether or not that has been explored and whether or not this developer is aware of that.
It's been explored. It will be explored. The Department of Environmental Management is in charge of contamination and cleanup.
Is that,
for the south, let's say south property?
okay, is that part of the reason why you're considering an injunction?
No, that's got nothing to do with this project. The injunction is to slow down the way that the state is jamming jamming changes down our throats. It's
Okay.
got nothing to do with this project specifically. The injunction or fight is against the 20 to 30 roughly laws that have been put forth in the past 5 years.
And is there information online available about the safety of this property?
I don't know.
I believe the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management has copies of files for properties that are available for review, and it would have some of that prior investigation as a public record.
And when you say some, is that because there's missing information?
I don't know. I just don't want to.
It would be up to the DEM. We don't do environmental testing. That's Department of Environmental Management.
Okay. And I am curious, are you aware of the rumors of potential hazards?
Anecdotally, I am. I'm actually just here to talk about CDBG and not to represent the project. It's this confusing situation where CCHC is hired by the town of Portsmouth to manage its CDBG program, and that's what I do. And in the other part of the office, there's a development team, and that's what they do. So I'm not one of the developers, actually.
So I'll ask again that we stick to specifically comments on the community development block grant application. Mr. Souza.
How you doing? I just have a question because on what we're discussing, he says this project's going to get built whether if we approve this or not.
Correct.
So why would we approve it? He doesn't need it. We can use it for some other project.
We
Or
can't use it
something.
for anything. If we
No,
don't
no,
apply-
if we don't, but if something else comes up, we can apply again, right, for this?
If something else comes up, it would be somebody who's looking to build LMI someplace
Yeah.
else in town.
So if he doesn't need it,
It'll
Why
probably
ap-
go
why
to someplace in
why
either Warren,
approve it?
Cranston, or Providence. Honestly, that's, if it
Yeah.
doesn't come here, it's gonna go to another town.
maybe the other town may need it more than us. I mean,
Thank
I don't know, but if he's telling us that it doesn't make a difference whether if he gets the money or not. So why give him something? He's just like telling us, I don't care if you giving me money or not. I'm
don't
still
think
gonna
he
do
said
what I'm
that.
gonna do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gleason? Hang on a sec. You're gonna have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi.
Are you there? Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So some of you are not always speaking into the mic, but most of you are, so I'm just gonna remind you of that. Yeah, so I learned about the percent difference, going back about 3 years ago. Typically, they do only pay 8%, and I'll just remind everybody that our homeowners, such as myself, I pay 100% of my taxes. So that means with these types of projects in our town, we have to make up the rest or increase resources, as you know, police, fire, water, and possibly schools, and deal with the traffic and everything else that we have to pay for. I'm not against affordable housing. I am for housing that is affordable. And there's a difference. I'll just remind you that we are paying more by allowing these projects to come into our town. And as you say, that they'll likely get the money somewhere else or eventually get the money. If they do go to another community, such as the cities or another rural community, we as taxpayers in Portsmouth are not on the hook for those increased resources in our own town. So there's something for you folks to think about. You don't have to approve the grant, as you know. And they will move on. I believe they will elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gleason. Yes, sir.
Hi, Thomas Linares, 182 West Main Road.
Thank you.
I was in on those zoning board meetings and the planning board meetings, and I saw the frustration that the committees had to put up with and the rules that the state came up with that they had to follow. They really had no choice. Their hands were tied behind their back. But you folks have a choice now. You folks can deny this. And I know it's approved, I know it's gonna go through, but we don't have, like she said, we don't have to give this money. And maybe that's a way to give a statement to the state that we're upset. Because if we just keep laying back, give the state whatever they want, they're just gonna continue. Let's just say no. And thank you.
And thank you for staying on the grant.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
Mary Lou Lyons, 46 Prospect Farm Road. I am,
Just pull that microphone.
Sorry,
Thank
here.
you. Yeah, they're directional. Thank you.
I'm just trying to clarify because the discussion's been all over the place. This project's been approved.
Yes.
The state has approved it. What is before the town now is whether the town will apply for a block grant for outside money. So
Correct.
this is not the town paying for money. And the disapproval of this block grant is not necessarily going to stop the development. It might cause more expense or different expense of the development, but it is simply a way of applying for funds that are available to cover the cost of the development.
That is correct. And if they don't get it through this avenue, they will try and find another avenue to get it from.
Okay.
Yes.
trying to clarify.
Thank you. Last questions, Val. Then we're going to move.
Not
to
a question, it's a
B.
point of clarification,
B.
and it's to the lady's point she just made. This is Sal Carceller, 63 Leaps Road. So, yes, the town applies for the community development block grant. I'm very well aware of them. Those grants, and then we have the council here, come with strings attached. When you apply, so yes, it's not money from the town, but you are in agreement and basically giving a green thumbs up that you are in agreement with the process HUD has put before you. And I believe, I've read some of the community development block grants, I haven't read this one. Part of that agreement is that you agree 100% to do your very best to achieve the 10% or the 15% or whatever the agreement says, and you will not hinder in any way the affordable housing initiatives set forward by HUD. That's in those agreements. So when we say that there's no skin off our back to approve, we're just a conduit for money. Yes, we're a conduit for money, but we're not a conduit for agreement. We will be held on the hook for making sure. And I will tell you, HUD watches these agreements very, very closely. Study up, back in 2012, in Westchester County, the administrator Astorino, Mr. Astorino, got himself in deep, deep trouble with HUD. If you think for one moment that HUD doesn't have teeth into communities, you should go take a look at, and study up on the Westchester County Astorino lawsuits that came up in Westchester and how bad they were for Westchester.
We don't have to go too far to study up on how bad HUD could be to a town.
Okay,
We
good.
could
So
just
you
go right down the hill to Quaker Hill.
you already figured that one out. So I just want to clarify that you approving this does have ramification on the town. Maybe not financial.
If the developer does not follow through properly, yes.
Just a point of clarification, there is no relationship between the CDBG award and, which is a There is no relationship between a CDBG award, which is a federal thing, and the state's 10% mandate for affordable housing.
Thank you. Any other questions on Part A of the public hearing for community development block grants?
I do have one
Ms.
question.
McDowell, one question?
Yep. In the past, when these grants have come before us, we have gotten a copy of the grant request, the application, and we didn't for these. Is there a reason there?
The applicants have not applied yet. This is this is one of the first parts of the application. So if that's happened before, I'm not quite sure how that would have been effectuated, but I actually counseled both applicants not to get too far into the actual application process because quite frankly, I wasn't sure if this body was going to approve either of the requests. But this is one of the first parts of the application. So if you've gotten the applications at this part before, you and I will have to talk offline about how that's happened.
Well, if we approve this, we really don't see it anymore. So I know at one point we did receive applications in the past that accompanied the request.
The application, once it's filed with the state, will be available at the planning department.
Okay. If there are no other questions on the Sprague Street project, I would like to move on to 79 East Main Road. Does anybody have any questions about the 79 East Main Road project, which is Community Blessings Foundation doing business as Healthy Living Recovery?
Are
Ms.
we
McDowell.
going to vote individually or are we okay?
We're having a discussion on the public hearing.
Yep.
Then the next item is to approve or disapprove the resolutions. So once the public hearing is over, we will move on to item number 4, which will be approval of the resolutions up or down each one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. None for 79 East Main Road. Last call for either project on the public hearing.
I have a question.
You can do that. You can do it after I close the public hearing. Like,
We're not doing 79.
we are doing 79 now. Do you want to
Yep.
ask a question of it
Yep,
now?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
To
Thank you.
whom?
To
The
the-
developer or the grant applicator?
To the developer, please.
Mr. Spinelli. And if you could both just state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name's Christine Nolan. I'm at 155 Harris Ave.
Thank you.
Frank Spinella, FJS Associates, 95 Indian Point Road in Tiverton. I'm the consultant for this development and an affordable housing consultant for a lot of the communities within the state and a lot of the nonprofits throughout the state. So I can certainly address questions regarding this application and the CDBG program overall, if you have any.
Yeah, I just, because we didn't get the application, what will be, in this 1.1 million, what will be the scope of work? And with some sort of, usually we get associated prices with it.
Sure.
And you won't be doing any expanding of that house,
That is correct, but we're going to be renovating it substantially. The total project cost is 2.2 million, and we've received already the difference between what we're requesting from the state currently and is already set aside for this development. For your resolution, and it's only because the state didn't have enough recovery money to fund the 3 projects that they funded in this current round. So they have set aside these funds for this development pending your resolution.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Mike? Oh, Mr. Reese?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I just have a question. How does this fit into the neighborhood?
And have residents been informed as relation to traffic and parking and
So
other
it
things that
is,
go along with it?
it's an allowed use within the neighborhood. The property has been used as a bed and breakfast, a transient population coming and going. And so it's an allowed use.
This refurbs the house only, right? It doesn't run any of the programs that you're planning on having in the house.
Just residential.
Just residents, okay. Thank you.
Ms. Blank?
Has this effort and team worked in Portsmouth before?
Yes, we have down the street at 2538 East Main Road.
And that was relatively across from Clements?
Yes, we operated for approximately 2 years until COVID. Some health restrictions required us to close down. So we'd like to reopen.
When that was in place, I was still living as in my current residence. I was a relative neighbor. I had a young child and had my own concerns, and I had looked into and really done my education, and through what I had learned, and also as a proven organization, they really had shown exemplary efforts, and the women who were there were often seen walking to Clements or working, catching the bus. It really had been a proven example and a great addition to this town. And I feel that this is a very positive way to use this property.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank you
Ms.
for your
Blank.
kind words.
Any questions from the audience? None online? Ms. Patton? Yes.
I just have a question. When you were in Portsmouth, did you end up moving to Middletown as well? Or did you have a place in Middletown?
No, we were considering the St. Lucy's Convent and converting that into a recovery house, but that didn't work out. We had some situations show up, so.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Gleason? Hold on.
Just make sure, name and address, even.
Got it, Kathy? There you go. Ms. Gleason, name and address for the record, please.
63 Massasoit, Karen Gleason. Just curious as to how many residents you will be housing at any given time, or what's the max capacity?
It's a good question. It'll be between 6 to 10, depending on the adult-child ratio.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Could you say that again? 6 to 10?
6 to 10 household members, and it would be predicated on adult-child. So if there was a mother or a woman with a child, that would be reduce the number of people in the house. So that's how the room and the attendance of that room would go by, whether it's a woman or male single, or if it was a woman and a child for a double.
No, how many bedrooms, may I ask?
There's 6 bedrooms.
How many professionals and/or staff will be in the building as well, or work there?
We will have supervision 24/7.
Can you tell me how many staff that requires?
It'll either be a lived-in house manager, or we'll have 3 staff members fulfilling shifts for 24 hours.
Okay, and parking, is that an issue, or do you?
No, plenty of parking on the property.
Is there a specific age group for children?
Up to 6, up to the age of 6.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gleason, any other questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Now we're going to move on to new business number 4, which is approval of the resolutions. We'll start with resolution number 1, which would be a resolution approving for affordable housing Provide funding for 40 affordable housing homeownership condos at the corner of Bristol Ferry and Sprague Street and Turnpike and Church Community Housing. Sorry, I read that poorly. But it's two corners. One corner is Bristol and Sprague, and the other corner is Sprague and Turnpike. So we're all aware it's two corners there. What is the council's pleasure?
So moved.
Is there a second? The resolution A. Hearing none, we will move on to resolution B, approving affordable housing, provide funding for recovery housing to be located at 79 East Main Road to be owned by Community Blessings Foundation, doing business as Healthy Living in Recovery.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-1. So we have a one approval
that
and
was
one
5-2,
disapproval.
Mr. President.
5-2, who said nay? Dave said nay, I'm sorry, David. 5-2 with the two Daves. Thank you. That is all for resolutions and community development block grants, folks. Next up, we have a couple of bills brought down by counselors for support or to vote against, one or the other. I can't remember which it all are, but we'll start with you, Mr. Gleason. We'll start with you with House Bill 7971 and House Bill 7678.
What you got there?
Thank you.
Okay, so, thank you, Mr. President. These were brought to my attention by the City of Leagues and Cities, cities and towns, I should say, in their publication. 7971 affects any DPW, potentially affects, who knows how far these bills are going to get, any potential DPW-related jobs that currently anything over $1,000, we have to use prevailing wage to do this work. This would raise the limit to 100,000. So that means that any jobs our DPW would do, or for any other state or town or city in Rhode Island, the potential is they could do a cheaper job with local labor, non-union labor, up to $100,000. I think that would be ease the burden on the town for some of our smaller jobs, and I would support this bill.
I would be in agreement. Would you, you were making a request to create a resolution in support?
Yes, the motion is to create a resolution to support House Bill 7971.
Second.
Gio, can you write that up for us, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can we have it by, are we almost done with all the other ones from the beginning of the year? We did all those, right?
Yeah, they're all
I
done.
believe so.
Okay, so can you have this for the next meeting?
We're pros now. We'll get them done quickly. Yeah.
Thank you.
You need a vote on that, Mr. President?
Nope, well, that's part of the motion. He'll write it up and we'll bring it back and do the rest.
Okay, fine,
Unless you,
sure.
unless the council is okay with solicitor writing it up and me just signing it and not bringing it back, I'm okay with that too. But if you want to see it first, that's up to you.
If the resolution is to have us simply document that you support this particular piece of legislation without commentary about why, then that's easy enough to do. We can just get it done tonight. And
Yeah, that's my intent. Unless anybody wants to get more into the details.
No, I mean, if you-
Dave, have you talked to our reps? Make sure they're going to support this?
No,
That's important.
but I would ask that they see the resolution as well,
Okay.
which is
it would go to all of
It would
our
be typical
representatives.
if
Yeah,
that would happen.
yeah, yeah. And across town and across the cities and towns.
so that's the intent is to
Just have the solicitor write it up and me sign it
If,
without bringing it
if this
back.
council votes
If that's okay.
for, in favor of that,
All right.
yes, that's fine.
If that's your part of your resolution, that's good. Okay. Ms. Gleason, you have a question?
Not her again.
Yes. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I
Name
didn't
and address.
see- I didn't see the button that said unmute. Is this limited to the 100,000 you said?
It raises the limit from $1,000 up to $100,000. So if we were to paint the outside of the town hall and it costs $50,000, we could potentially use a non-union,
I'm
less
wondering-
expensive.
I guess my question is, I'm wondering if it should be a lot higher than that just in case, because if you come
The-
up with
the- the-
125,000, then what do
The,
you do?
the bill is already written as $100,000. It's not up to us. We're
Uh,
just showing support for said bill.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Any further questions, Mr. Ayero?
I was just gonna make we have a motion and a second,
Yes.
so I think we still need to take a vote on it.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1. And then we have, next up, Mr. Gleason as well.
Sure. So 76, 78 is, I'll just give this off the top of my head. This would create a special joint legislative commission, with various positions appointed by, people already in high places in Rhode Island here. What it does is represent the towns and cities, or gives a forum for representation by cities and towns at the General Assembly level.
Correct.
Yeah. Other questions on that? I know that's
Ms. Mike?
Yeah.
The way I read it, the specific people already in different positions of power would be selecting
Right.
the 7 individuals.
Yes.
For the 39 towns and cities. Yes, cities and towns is the right way to say it. But, I have concerns on this, supporting this bill. It seems to reiterate power and create another, just more. Oh, it's been a long day.
Well, I mean, I'll maybe try and help. I don't think it creates another level of bureaucracy. I think it gives a level of direct contact that we currently, as cities and towns, only have through the League of Cities and Towns or towards our state legislature. And it may create an atmosphere where we can actually bring forth concerns like these housing bills are killing us. You got to stop. Physicians' creed, first do no harm. I wish that the General Assembly would think of that before they pass bills.
It does seem like just a second layer and another level of bureaucracy. Thank you for finding the word I was looking for. And I don't see it helping the people that we're representing. It just seems like more roles. Are these paid roles?
No.
So, Mr. President, if you don't mind. Councilwoman, as someone had run a special joint legislative commission, yes, all these, the enabling legislation that allows for this commission to happen needs to have prescriptive membership. And that's why you have people that are automatically and then some people that are assigned. I will say that it does not create another level of bureaucracy. What it does, the first couple of meetings of these commissions create a purpose and a direction. And at the end of it, there is a report that is always done by these commissions that will hopefully turn into legislation that will come out in either the next legislative session or the subsequent one after that, if more information is needed. Obviously, we're talking about municipal issues, so it could be a little bit more burdensome in terms of the staff that is on these commissions, so they may need more time. But I will say that a lot of these commissions are very fruitful in being able to find solutions to issues.
Can you help me understand how this is different than what we have our legislators there to do for us?
It allows for work outside of the committee system, that the committee system only is meeting X amount of days per week per the legislative session. So really, it's talking about June, I would go January to June, and really the committees are pretty much done with their work by the beginning of May. This allows for, during the off session especially, for these commissions to come together to really hone in on these issues and bring in experts from within and without the state to really hone in on the issues that are pertaining. We get to see how other states are doing things, where do we find efficiencies, where are gaps, so that they are actually really good and worthwhile.
Thank you for the clarification.
I think it's better than any system we have now. I think it's subject to the people that get picked out to be on the committee, whether they're going to be movers and shakers, et cetera. But I think it's worth a try.
So you want to make similar motion that you have our solicitor craft a resolution and I will sign it when it is finished?
Yes, that would be the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
C, we are going to skip at the request of the sponsor, and we're going to move on to House Bill 8013 relating to motor and other vehicles, mobile and manufactured homes. Ms. Patton.
Yeah. So I asked that this bill be put on to be supported by the council. It is going to be heard in the spring session, is what I've been told. It does include the right of first refusal provision, which is a critical step in protecting our communities' housing stability and empowering our residents. It gives both residents and the town a meaningful opportunity to have a voice when properties change hands, helping preserve affordability and prevent displacement. So I'm just asking if the council would support this bill.
And make a resolution similar to Mr. Gleason's,
Yes,
and
please.
I will sign it as soon as Gio's done with it. Just for you personally, do you know that you can go on to the state's website, click that bill and ask to be followed on that bill so you know when any hearings are coming up?
Yes.
Okay, good.
One other thing, it also changes hands as far as it takes it out of the business resolution, business department and puts it into the housing.
Is there a second for? Ms.
Second.
Patton? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much, both of you. Next up, we have a request to revise the protocol for management salaries. Mr. Gleason, I believe you brought this up, but Mr. Rayner, you want to kick us off?
Sure. At Councilor Gleason's request, we've reviewed the management salary protocol that was adopted by the council in November of 1999. The protocol suggested that the town council meet annually with non-union department heads and deputies to discuss salary, benefit, and working conditions. In looking through the records, however, I've not been able to determine that those meetings were ever consistently held. Instead, compensation for non-union employees has historically been addressed through the annual budget process. Under the town charter, the town administrator is responsible for the administration of town government and for the management and evaluation of the department heads. The council, in turn, exercises oversight primarily through its policymaking role and through the adoption of the annual town budget. That budget process is where salary and benefit adjustments have traditionally been reviewed and approved by the council. So given that the 1999 protocol is now more than 25 years old and has not been consistently implemented, it seems appropriate to provide a revised protocol that reflects current practices and the framework established by the town charter. So the proposed revision essentially does three things. First, it recognizes the town administrator responsibility for administering personnel matters. Second, it uses negotiated union contracts, particularly the PMEA contract, as a general guideline when considering non-union salary adjustments. And third, it maintains the council's oversight through the annual budget process where those adjustments are presented for review and approval.
Mr. Gleason.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope the council agrees with me that we should approve this. It's a case of another policy that's been around, excuse me, for a long time. And several meetings ago, I brought this forward. At the same time, I brought the proposal about updating our relationship with the soccer program, where they thought they had exclusive use of the fields, which they may have had for 10 years, but it went back to 99 as well. That one we have voted on. This one, honestly, it didn't go over very well. I mean, there's a lot of people in this room right here that are affected by this policy that are management folks that, have union people working for them, especially here in Town Hall. And at that time, I brought that forward. And I was told it ran right through the building and I should never do it that way. And I heard of people that wanted to work less hours, or they're thinking about changing their future. So, I dropped it. I was kind of shocked that happened, but I guess that's what happens in a small town like this. I suggested that we go to a merit type program, and I was told that that really wouldn't work here. So I basically handed over to our HR department and Mr. Rayner, and this is a policy that they've come up with. It's not much different from what I had in mind. And basically, I would agree with Mr. Rayner. It took me by surprise because I asked how we had determined the 4% raises last year, and I was shown this document, and it was the first time in my 8 years of being on a town council that I'd ever seen it in that time period. So we should have a uniform policy. The town council is not, as opposed to where we were in the past, where we were involved in hirings and firings. It's all Mr. Rayner's purview at this point. So that has changed. There's no need for us to meet in February to discuss it. It would be, we will see it when the budget comes out. And if we see raises that are too high or too low, we'll have an ultimate say in that. So I think it's a win-win for both of us to move forward with this type of protocol.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Absolutely. Motion to approve the new protocol as presented by Mr. Rayner and Lisa Puglia.
Second.
Any further questions from the council? Any questions from audience? Mr. Fennessy, come on up, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Kevin Fennessy, 2774 East Main Road. Having been a human resources manager for over 20 years, my question is, are the employees of the town, both union and non-union employees, subject to quarterly, semi-annual, annual performance reviews?
Mr. Rayner?
They're correct. They're subject to annual reviews.
To annual reviews.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. On to new business number 7, request addition of a citizens forum section to the town council agendas. Ms. Patton.
Yeah, so I placed this item on the agenda just to discuss formally including a public forum. Other, surrounding towns, Middletown, Bristol, Tiverton, they all have this on their agendas. And I just think it gives residents the opportunity to come to the town council meetings and address a situation or, any item that is not on the agenda topic and, without, we don't have to, answer. As far as the time, I put on here for 5 minutes, but we can, discuss and see if that's the right time that you want to choose. And then the form, I just put a backup form as Middletown uses, so just wanted to see and open it up for discussion.
Sure. So my only concern with the 5 minutes is, well, if you go with the 5 minutes in the Middletown forum, you would only have 3 speakers.
Mm.
So I would say maybe if we shorten that a little bit, but that's up to the council. Ms. Payero?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would even go closer to home. The school committee has been doing it for quite some time. So I would suggest that we look at what the policy is with the school committee. And it is part of every agenda. And it is limited to 2 minutes. I would just also like to remind people that you have to sit on your hands during those 2 minutes while people are talking, which is always the hardest part of that experience. So I would be in favor for it, but I think that we have an example close to home that has already been doing it for.
So if we did it for 2 minutes and 10 minutes maximum, something like that, I mean, it's.
I've been to a couple forums and they were both at 3 minutes, and I think that's a reasonable amount.
Okay.
And it gives you the, you could still let somebody go over, or if it gets out of hand, you also have that control.
I'm going to pull out the Andrew Kelly egg timer.
You can do that.
As far as the specific backup, we've never gone had people having to sign it, as you've noticed tonight. So I would just stick just to the public forum section as opposed to, I mean, we're very open to folks getting up and, especially if you have a different question or you sit back down and go, "Ooh, I forgot something." It does, that second section kind of hamstrings you a little bit.
It does, and I would say, well, the school committee normally puts a sign-in sheet, and then the chair will take this sign-in sheet and call up people as they come up. If also depending on when this form needs to be submitted, may subject it to open meetings, and so it kind of becomes like a really gray murky area.
I think just
I think that's fine.
A sign-in sheet.
Yep.
sign-in sheet for the public forum section and need to be here by, I'll ask the clerk, 6:50, 6:45.
I think a lot of towns will collect that sheet at the start of the meeting, so the clerk will just take it off the podium
Right.
at 7 on the dot, and if you haven't signed up by then,
Yeah.
you're not getting into the public forum,
Right.
which keeps people.
But if we do that right at 7 o'clock, I don't get it.
No, we,
She just takes it and hands it to you.
All right.
Hmm.
That's all right with everybody. That's fine with me.
Yeah, I just would like to say that I'm in support of this as well. I think it's a great opportunity for citizens to have a voice. So thanks for bringing that forward.
And just to clarify the process, somebody comes in and says, I want to talk about potholes on East Main Road. You get up, you got 2 minutes, 3 minutes to talk about potholes on East Main Road. The council cannot ask you questions, cannot offer any solutions. We just hear your concerns or thank yous. That would be nice too, if you wanted to give those at some point. We will just hear those and we'll move on to the next person. And then if there is follow-up that is needed, we can follow up at the next meeting, but it has to be properly advertised for the next meeting. So, Mr. Fitz.
The only thing I would just say, I would think that we should be able to ask questions of somebody. We wouldn't be able to vote,
No.
but
Yeah.
other people.
I don't think you're allowed to underneath the.
I think
the
most
section.
towns, out of an abundance of caution, do not do that.
Okay.
I'm not convinced that that's actually the law, but I understand why towns do that.
Okay.
It was very, so as someone that was there for when the policy was created in the school committee, it was very murky water where there was a school committee who did say something
Yep.
and opined, and it became a violation of the open meetings law.
Sure.
Just so I'll read it. This is exactly what the public comment section says for the school committee. During the public comment portion of the agenda, members of the public may comment on any topic related to the schools. For any public comment, individuals must first be recognized by the chair, must state their name and an address for the record, and may comment for up to 2 minutes. If public comment pertains to an item not on the agenda, the committee will listen but will not comment, and any follow-up needed will come from the superintendent or their designee.
Okay, that's fine. Works for me.
Good, we'll just give more work to the superintendent.
I,
I'm good with that policy. Sorry, Liz.
I say we take the same verbiage as school committee and mimic that so that it's pretty consistent and it gives direction and it gives protocol. And I still would love to see 3 minutes instead of 2, but that's just me.
But you can put that as your, if you say that, I'd like to make a motion to mimic the school committees, but make it 3 minutes.
I would like to make a motion to mimic the verbiage with the school committee's policy on open forum and limit it to 3 minutes.
Second.
Okay, now, Mr. Fitzmaurice. Thank you for your patience.
Can I just ask for clarification? Is there we're talking about an overall time limit for the period of public comment,
It's 3 minutes per individual.
but there's not a,
I
The
think,
school committee does not provide for a
okay,
cap.
and the town council does not want to put a cap on.
but
I-
so,
I would like to add a cap of 15 minutes total, if possible.
otherwise we could have 100 people here, sign up for 3 minutes and we're here all night. We're gonna be here all night tonight, but that's a different story.
Sorry,
So you want to do 15 minutes?
Or amend it to 15-minute max on the open forum time limits.
The good news is you can change this meeting to meeting. I mean, this is not a set in stone. This is
Right.
a policy that the clerk will adopt when she drafts the agenda, and it can be modified.
Sorry, Mr. Fitzmaurice.
Actually, I could answer most of those questions. The school committee has a different set of laws in the Open Meetings Act, and so their restrictions may be valid. Council doesn't have that restriction. I refer back, and I don't remember his name, to a attorney general that we had a while back that made a ruling on this business of 3-minute rules. He said it's not required for the council to be silent during comment. So presumably we can do the research on that. Now, whether that's considered sufficient in the law is another story, I guess, but it was an opinion of the attorney general at the time. As some of the council knows, I've been talking to a lot of councils in recent weeks. And 3 minutes is probably the best time. I would be reluctant to adopt a 2-minute rule. It's tough enough to get it in on 3 minutes. So I would recommend 3 minutes, and that's certainly the standard I've seen everywhere I've been. It's been 3 minutes. So I'd recommend very strongly that it be 3 minutes. But it's my understanding that if someone speaks at the 3-minute public comment section that is proposed here, that they would be speaking to matters that are not on the agenda. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the normal procedures that we follow here in Portsmouth would remain for the agenda items.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's the discussion I had about removing the bottom part of Middletown's form there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have new business number 8, discussion to determine whether to join Bristol in requiring Rhode Island Bridge and Turnpike to most recent inspection report be made available to us, I believe is what we're looking at there. Not acquiring, but requiring them to release the report.
Yeah.
But I guess we would acquire it anyways, either way.
Yeah, so I reached out to Mr. Rayner and actually I attended the Bristol Town Council meeting and they had this discussion on their agenda and just brought light to it. And I would just like to see if this was something that we could, you know, support and join with them or have, you know, do a resolution or I'm not sure to move forward and see if we can require as far as the report on the bridge.
Okay, I mean, I know the Attorney General and the Rhode Island Bridge and Turnpike Authority have vehemently denied that they're gonna release it for any reason. And the AG has said they don't have to. And the Homeland Security has also said, don't release it. I don't know how far the lawsuit's gonna go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the town is sued over that
Right.
decision, so my question when I saw this item was, what, are you asking us to join the lawsuit as a party or as an amicus, or to simply send a letter of support to Bristol?
Just, I think more of a letter of support to Bristol and, you know, to stay in contact and,
Okay.
you know.
Question. It just wasn't clear in the verbiage. Are you looking for the town council to be included in the report or to make it public?
Just a letter of support from the council to the Bristol Town Council.
I don't know if the Bristol,
Or-
I don't know if the Bristol lawsuit is to make it public or is it just to release it to them? I can't remember how they wrote it.
I believe it was an access to public records request that it was based upon, so I think it would be, if they're successful, it will become a public document, assumedly, you know, redacting any security issues that the feds or the state don't want released, but I think the core question is, you know, a blanket claim of this is a security risk, does that satisfy an APRA exemption? Or do they have to just redact? I mean, it's a bridge status safety report. I assume there's a whole bunch of information in there that is not related to national security issues. And they refuse to hand out any of it. And I think that's really what it comes down to. So I think if Bristol's successful, that will become a public document. You'll all have the opportunity to see it in its redacted form.
So can we make it a motion to ask the solicitor to write a letter of support to bring back at our next meeting so that we can all review it before it goes out?
Sure.
Does that sound comfortable with everybody? Or you can have him write it and I'll sign it and send it to Bristol. It's up to you folks. I think that everybody might want to see it to see exactly what it says.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned just because even a letter of support, one, this is now a legal matter. It's not just a resolution to the state or something like that. Whether or not we want to dip our toes into the situation and just kind of, or just kind of sit back and see how the legal process plays out. Because just like the solicitor says, if they are successful in it, we will most likely obtain the information, and whether or not we want to have our solicitor or any other town resources involved in this, whatever they may be, I just don't know if this is the right pool for us to swim in.
I have concerns just, both with the documentation and just, the alignment. I understand where it's coming from and kind of what the intent is, but, I have concerns with supporting this.
Mr. Gleason?
I just think shows our support for our sister town, with this main artery between us. It's just, if there's something in there, I think we should just support their concerns, basically. I'll leave it at that. So whatever, if you want to write something up and then have everybody review the final language, that's fair to everybody and gives you the chance to approve or turn it down. If you want to make that motion.
So I'll make a motion to have our solicitor write up a letter of support, the town of Bristol on the Mount Hope Bridge report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-2.
No,
Yeah,
I'm okay with a draft.
Okay,
Not
6-1. 6-1, I'm sorry.
And that is to come back for review.
To come back for review at our next meeting, which is April 13th? 14th, 13th.
13.
Right. On to new business number 9, approval for sticker prices for curbside and the Portsmouth Transfer Station. Mr. Rayner.
Or Kathy, if we can start with the transfer station year end. So, Mr. President, I'll start with year-end results for the Headley Street Transfer Station Enterprise Fund. Based on current projections, we are anticipating ending the fiscal year with a modest surplus of approximately $13,700. I do want to note that this is an unaudited projection, and as such, it would not be applied until the fiscal year 28 budget cycle. What this tells us is that operationally, the program is performing generally in line with expectations for the current year. It reflects a relatively stable year from an operational standpoint. There is a separate issue related to the prior year audit that impacts next year's budget cycle. And Kayla will walk us, our finance director will walk us through that when we present the fiscal year 27 numbers. But in terms of the current year, which will end June 30th, the takeaway is the program is operating as expected and is projected to close with a small surplus. We go to the Headley Street budget.
Headley Street or curbside?
Yeah, we went to Headley Street Transfer Station.
You just did that. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I did the end current
Okay.
year with Headley. Yeah,
You want next year's? Okay.
yeah, the next year's budget.
Thank you.
So we'll do transfer station, then we'll do curbside. separate.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so here we have the fiscal year 27 proposed budget for the Headley Street Transfer Station. I'm calling this the status quo scenario, and this will become apparent why here in just a minute. So when I say status quo, I mean no structural program changes. It's the same service model that we've been using for years, and it's the same operational approach. So this reflects the cost of continuing the program as it exists today. You received in your backup, and Kayla will expound on it here in just a moment. She provided you a letter. The fund does reflect an $86,000 deficit coming out of fiscal year 25. The enterprise fund model is designed so that the users of the program support the full cost of the program, including prior year variances. The deficit is not a new cost, but its incorporation into the fiscal year 27 budget is a reconciliation of prior year operations that is now being properly accounted for. So when you look at the proposed sticker price, it reflects, 1, the cost to operate the program next year, and then 2, the adjustment needed to address the prior year deficit.
The important change going forward is that we are now operating fully on a fiscal year basis. We're using audited financial data, and we are no longer carrying forward projections that cross fiscal years. So this will allow us to set a more accurate and stable pricing in future years. So this is the fiscal year 27 status quo budget. It reflects the cost. Pardon?
I just said bless you.
It reflects, I could use it. It reflects the cost of operating the program under the current structure. So assuming the same general rate of participation as the last couple years, we recommend a sticker price that came out as $321. I would recommend that we round that off to $320. So at this time, I'd just like the finance director to explain more fully the $86,000 deficit.
Right. Good evening. I did prepare a brief explanation of the deficit, which was included in the agenda. To summarize, though, the 86,000 deficit is not solely related to the 18-month program, but rather reflects variances that have accumulated over prior years, including higher than expected expenses and lower than projected revenues. For example, as I put in the letter, a pay-as-you-throw bag expenses exceeded budget in calendar year 2023, while revenues for those same items came below projections in the 18-month sticker. In prior years, sticker rates were developed using projected surpluses or deficits. When a surplus was projected, but a deficit was ultimately realized, it resulted in under-collection of revenue, causing the deficit to grow or compound over time. Additionally, while the enterprise fund was audited annually, the reporting did not align with our fiscal year, causing which limited visibility into true operating performance. Now that we are fully aligned with the fiscal year basis, we will be using audited results instead of projections, which will improve accuracy, transparency, and prevent these types of cumulative impacts going forward.
So if we can move on to the next, and this would be just a discussion regarding the Headley Street Transfer Station operation with the potential impact of how the ad hoc committee work or ad hoc working group work could impact that enterprise fund. So this would represent a change from the current structure where the Prudence Island Transfer Station is supported through the general fund. This is what we do currently. And the Headley Street operates as a separate enterprise fund. As I understand it, in the work that they've been doing, there would be a direct fee applied to Prudence Island households and a corresponding adjustment in how certain revenues and costs are allotted between the two operations. What this does is change how costs are distributed, not the overall cost of the system. So I do want to note that there has not yet been a formal council direction on this approach, and that the Prudence Island Planning Commission is scheduled to review this work in mid-April. So this scenario is presented for discussion purposes to show potential impacts, not as a finalized recommendation. So my responsibility at this point, as I see it, is to present a balanced budget based on known information while also illustrating how potential policy changes could alter that budget. So this provides a comparison to the status quo scenario should the council wish to move in that direction. And overall, it's about a $10 difference in the sticker price.
Kathy, can you just put the, with Prudence Island one up on the board, please? The one is related, Headley Street Station proposal sticker calculation with approval of PI proposal. Just go down to the bottom. Thank you. Council, have any questions on this? We have one online real quick. Mr. Spadaro's online. John, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there were two things that about
John,
which I was.
John, if you just name and address, please.
Oh, sorry. John Spadaro, 0260 Albro Farm Road.
Thank you,
on
sir.
Prudence Island. Sorry. There are two elements in the budget that I think are problematic regardless of the final outcome of the approval of a different way of funding Prudence Island Transfer Station. The first is that revenues from Prudence Island annual stickers get applied not to the Prudence Island Transfer Station budget, but rather to the Headley Street Enterprise Fund. The second item is that there's no credit for pay-as-you-throw revenue to reflect bags that are disposed of through the Prudence Island Transfer Station. As a result, there's a significant amount of money on the order of $40,000 per year that is applied to Headley Street Enterprise Fund that in fact should be applied to the Prudence Island Transfer Station, which would effectively reduce the subsidy that the town is providing for Prudence Island Transfer Station operations.
Yes. But that was the decision of the council 8 years ago, was to put that money into the Headley Street and subsidize Prudence Island. So until the decision was to either perform this ad hoc committee and or just start charging Prudence Island to reduce that subsidy, that wasn't an issue. And until we have a formal recommendation from the ad hoc committee, these are just the scenarios that are potentially out there. So you don't need a decision from us tonight on the Headley Street until we get the, I mean, there's no sense making one until the ad hoc.
No,
comes back.
as I discussed with Counselor McDowell, this is to let people know what the range of the pricing is probably going to be. I do have to present a budget at the end of this week. So the budget is just a proposal. We'll see what comes out of the, I believe it's April 16th, John, Prudence Island
Correct.
Planning Commission meeting. I'm assuming that we'll probably get something from the ad hoc group. The council will discuss this again, and then we can refine it. But this will allow me to present to you a balanced budget that incorporates, as it stands now, the Prudence Island Planning Station, or Prudence Island Transfer Station, which has to be incorporated into the general fund because those are the rules right now.
So as of right now, the Prudence Island Transfer Station will remain as is, which would put us at the 320 until the ad hoc committee comes back with a recommendation. And if that is adopted, that'll change the general fund and also potentially create a new enterprise fund of the Prudence Island Transfer Station.
Yeah, depending on how the council wants to set it up, but that's obviously one of the scenarios I believe that's being looked at.
Okay. Any questions, Ms. McDowell?
So when I saw the agenda item, I did think that, approval of sticker prices for curbside and Portsmouth Transfer Station. So I'm glad to hear that we're not looking to approve anything right now. And hopefully we're waiting for the Prudence Island, as was stated, and the committee report from the ad hoc committee. So now I do want to ask this question. It'll be a valuable, if we get the answer to it, it'll be valuable for our committee to continue the work. We're now getting into the Headley. We've spent a great deal of time on Prudence Island, done a quite thorough, taken a quite thorough look at Prudence Island, and come up with several things we would like to bring to the council in terms of operational efficiencies, fiscal efficiencies. But now we're getting into the Headley and the curbside. And I guess my question is, regarding the Headley transfer station, does the projected sticker calculation material presented tonight include all expenses and all revenues associated with the operation? Is it safe to say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then regarding the curbside program, again, does the projected sticker calculation show all expenses and all revenues associated with this operation?
Yes.
It's fair to say that, okay? This has to do with the deficit. So can I speak to that right now, or
Yeah.
do other people want to?
The 86,000.
Yep, yeah. So I do have some very big concerns about the memorandum that was included in this agenda. And an audit was revised, reissued, and a disclosure note was attached. I have a concern that the council was never officially informed of such a significant finding, and I'd like to know why.
I think this issue, well, Kayla will correct me if I'm wrong, but this issue came up during the RFP process. So there was a question asked. The stickers that were sold at this time last year for the curbside program were being credited as income for that year. So it was just, it should have been referred to as deferred revenue, but it was showing up as revenue, which is the way we always kind of did it in years past because of the timing of the way we did the program on a calendar year versus a fiscal year. It was an enterprise fund. We knew that we were going to discuss it with you tonight, so we were just made aware of this about a week and a half ago. So I think this is why we brought it up and why we had Kayla write a memo.
So the discovery came a week and a half ago,
I
and
want to say it was right before we we analyzed the bid results. There was a question raised by one of the bidders about the deferred revenue. So when we discussed this with the auditor did concur with the conclusion of this questioner that those ticket sales should have been recorded as deferred revenue, not revenue that applied to the previous fiscal year, which would have made that it either would have resulted in a small surplus or evened out. And this is what Kayla has been referring to. This is what's been happening for as long as this program has been in existence. We always had data that was at least 2 years old. So every year we were trying to project what that revenue was going to be and then adjust the ticket price to make sure that the revenues and expenditures zeroed out. Never really knowing until 2 years later what that impact was. So we had continual fluctuations in the actual state of that enterprise fund. That will be erased now because the enterprise fund is on the exact same calendar as our fiscal year. So we'll always, henceforth, look at the audited result. We don't have to worry about deferred revenue anymore. We'll look at the audited result, and that will be the result that will go into the computation of the following sticker price.
And I would just like to add, there will be deferred revenue going forward because this is on a fiscal year approach. So because we start collecting revenue in May and June, that will now be allocated as deferred. That is now known going forward. This was past practices of the calendar year, the 18-month. This should have, I will say, been caught by myself. Unfortunately, it was caught in the RFP process, but now it will be caught during our year-end basis. So once we true up with tax on what the collectibles were for the upcoming fiscal year, all monies will be moved to deferred revenue going forward, and that will better project where we stand for the end of the year to come audit.
thank you. So really, the error was brought forth by a bidder for the RFP, not our auditors.
That is correct. And I will say that our auditors may not have known, or they should not have known, that we transferred over to a fiscal year approach. They were doing past practice of our calendar year sticker.
All set?
Yep, thank
Okay.
you.
Any further questions on the transfer station specifically? Mr. Grebe?
Hi, Tom Grieve, 110 Thayer Drive. I'm curious because I've looked at the two, I had the original audit, a copy of it, and I've looked at the new one. And the revenue in the transfer station went from $662,000, which sort of made sense to me. We've got about 2,000 people and the sticker's about $300, 600 plus the bag revenues. Made sense. That went to $285,000, which doesn't make sense to me. Help me make sense of
Right,
it.
so we have to remember that this was an 18-month sticker. So a lot of the revenue was recorded in FY '24. So when the projection, when the audit said 600 and change, 377,000 of that was actually realized revenue for FY '26. Majority of the 18-month sticker, which ran January 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025, most of the revenue was collected in FY '24.
Okay, so that, and that revenue was not divided by the years or into a, I'm sorry, into a fund that would have passed up and funded the next year.
And the audit would have essentially rolled into the fund balance.
Yeah, I get that, but it seems like I'm not sure how we get $86,000 off. That seems like a lot of money. If it was just a matter of rolling it forward, that money would have been back in '24 and probably created a surplus for us in that year. Is that correct?
That's correct. As I've been going backwards, calendar year '23 ended in a result of a deficit. The 18-month sticker was a small surplus, but I'm going back to see, it's kind of hard because it's compounded over the years, being the calendar year. I can't physically point out one particular where the 86,000 is as of just yet.
Okay, but in that case, it would seem to me it's a little bit of a penalty to the users of the transfer station that you get that we are paying for the $86,000 this year because of a mistake that has been made for, I guess, over 3 years or so. And I would just say you might think about ameliorating some of that. Thank you.
But that would require utilizing taxpayer money and putting thumbs on the scale, which you were against doing last year for curbside.
I still am, but the point is, I've just discussed with Ms. Marsden that we don't really know how much that
She's
86 about, he's trying to figure it out. But it seems like a whole lot of money to me just for this, the money was there, I'm willing to bet, or most of the money was there. And it went into the general fund, I'm willing to bet as well. And
It doesn't go into the general fund, it stays in the enterprise.
well, we had this discussion at the audit, everything goes into the general fund, as I found out at the audit.
It's called the general fund, but monies applied to and spent out of this enterprise fund stay in said enterprise fund.
And that's not what I just heard. So, okay.
No. Right. So anything that pertains to the Headley Street Transfer Station is in a fund, and I'll name the fund 688. Monies do not go into our general fund, which is a fund account of 100.
Okay, then it shouldn't be hard at all to go back and get and find out what the real revenues were.
I can assure I'm going back. I've just ended calendar year 2023. I'm going back into calendar year 2022. My system only allows me 2020.
Okay.
Part of the difficulty here is that every cycle for as long as this program was in inception, crossed 2 fiscal years.
Yeah.
Every single time, which made it extremely difficult. And then when you're computing the sticker price for the next year, you don't even have that audit yet. The audit you have is from 2 years previous.
Right.
And then, so as Kayla has stated, this is probably an issue that fluctuated up and down for many, many, many years. That if the $86,000 is missing, what happened is there were probably sticker prices that were, for many years, perhaps a few dollars lower than they should have been.
Yeah, no, I get that, and we can't go back further than the 2020. So, all right.
Mr. Kessin. Mr. Kessin.
Good evening, Mr. Kessin, 3241 East Main Road. I've been on this ad hoc committee, and I have to tell you that this has been a 3-month challenge, to say the least. The information we captured, recorded by the town, they obviously know what's going on. I don't have that good a decoder ring at my house, but I still have my separate spreadsheets, Mr. President, and I don't try to get it down to the penny. If we're within about $5,000, I'm pretty happy. It's in the noise. Headley Street, I thought the increase was going to be in the vicinity of 370. The reason I thought that was I downloaded the audit December 22nd, 2025, and I logged the file. And the reason I do that is because in the past, I've been caught looking at the wrong file. But anyways, the file I downloaded, when I go to page 9, it states the business type activities increased the town's net position by 1.15, 430,000. This resulted primarily from a 1,738 decrease net position in the septic loan program. There's also a decrease of $152,000 in the transfer station, and a new fund was established, the curbside pickup, and had initial changes in the net position of 1.309168, each of which contribute to an overall decrease. I don't understand that, because when you have 1.3 million that you haven't spent the money on, and it's collected for the next year, I don't understand why there's an overall decrease. But let me go back to where it says there's a decrease of $152,000. Where I saw that in the audit on page 9, and I wished I'd made copies of it now and brought every one of you one, and one for the record. That's usually on page 9 when we look, it says it's 152 and it's in parentheses, and that's the way that the town markets a negative fund balance. In the past, that's always been carried forward as the deficit for the previous year. I then went online when I did an estimate of 370 and saw the sticker price of 322. And again, I'll go to the same document. And oh, by the way, today when I go to the town website, there's a new file there. And the reason I know it's different is there's a different kilobyte status on the file. The size of the file went from 307,000 kilobytes to 2,805 kilobytes. So there is a brand new file. And oh, by the way, it's now has a new name, ACFR_1. When I go to that document on page 9, it says the business type, and it's totally written over. Almost this whole page 9 is written over, as is all the fund balance, the net positions for the whole government-wide finances, which I was very surprised to find. But anyways, the business activities decreased in the town's net position by $22,215. The resultant primary from $1,738 decreased in the net position on the septic program. That stayed the same. There was a decrease of $529,167 from the transfer station, and a new fund was established for the curbside that had initial charges of $15,556, which I have no idea what that was spent for, because it's less than what we pay in a month for containers. And that's the way that sentence ends. What,
I don't want to interrupt you, but that was the advertising that was pre-expended to the curbside program. So
that was the advertising and we didn't pay any containers because I thought because containers were on the street, I thought we made a container. So that was advertising. That's good to
The
know.
containers are amortized over the 5-year period of the transfer station, the curbside fund.
So we
If
didn't,
somebody pays their $460 this year or $620 next year or whatever the price.
okay, so we didn't buy the containers from Mega?
Mega bought the containers. We're paying them back over 5 years.
Thank you very much. So again, being part of the Solid Waste Committee, I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around new prices. When I go to that page 9, it shows me that. It also still shows me that when I go to 17, we have an $814,000, $570 expense, but we only collected $285,403 in the new fund, and I don't understand that, which then the business activity is down minus $529,167. And when you roll through that complete transfer station estimate and you get to page 24, it's basically pages 17 through 24, by the way, with 9 being the word explanation for the funds, you get to the $86,000 negative net position that in the original fund on the December 2022 file was at minus 152,000. So I am very confused, but elated that we don't have a $370 sticker price. The third thing I want to,
Hang on a second. Let's just answer that question first before we go on to the next, because you're going back and forth between transfer station and curbside, and we haven't gotten to curbside.
no, I'm just mentioning what's in the statement in the audit,
Right, so
sir. I'm
let's-
not bouncing between programs.
Let's clarify the 5 minus 529.
I think it's important to look at page 25. That's where we see the net position at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year. And you will see,
In which report?
it would be the same for both reports.
Would be the same for both reports.
Mhm.
Let me see if I have page 25. I do have page 25.
So in the original report for the transfer station, the net position showed an operating surplus of 291,000. After we realized that 377,000 was collected in deferred revenue, that is where the 86,000 deficit was apparent.
So trying to find it on this page. Boy, I'll tell you, I wish I made copies for everybody because we could all be looking at this today.
Up on the screen. You just can't see it from where you're standing. They're following along.
That's good. But when I looked at
Maybe a
when I
little
looked at
bigger,
when I looked at the old report, that's where it said it was minus 152,000. The third line up, where we're now declaring this number right here.
The 529, 167 or the 86?
This row right here is 291. 167, the transfer station side. This guy.
No, that guy.
This guy here, that's 291, 167. That's 443, 167. This is minus 152, which matches the word of a deficit that was on page 9.
So the only change here was capturing the deferred revenue.
Correct. The deferred revenue was in the 2024 audit. And again, because you guys are consistent in your MD&A representation, you said the business activities increased in the town net position increased by $317,577. That money is what I thought should have rolled into the 25 audit and not caused the deficit.
So there was no deferred revenue in FY '24 because that sticker ran 18 months. So the reason for.
So why did we declare on page 9 of the 24, $317,577 as a increase in a net position, which to me is a revenue position positive in '24?
Mr. Kesson, in the future, please allow her to finish her statement before starting your next question.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
So let's hear the answer fully out then.
Get too many papers.
Can you re-ask the question on page 9?
On page 9 on the
Which report are you looking at?
On page 9 on the 2024 audit, that's when we collected the extra money. That was the 18-month sticker.
Please give me a minute while I pull up the 24 audit.
So the line states, is that what you're looking for?
Without me going back to the FY '24 audit right now, because I'm privy to the 25, the 300.
What was left over from the 18 months?
Which would have been applied to the 18-month sticker, which was over at that point in time.
But it was the surplus from the 18-month sticker that we hadn't expended. It was revenue we took in, but it didn't roll to the next year. That's the way I read your audit. I can be wrong. It's cool.
It doesn't leave the enterprise fund.
I didn't say it did.
Right, so
The money rolled
the
over.
money's there.
The money's there. It rolled
cover
over.
the expenses
Yep.
to a point. And apparently, and I hate accounting because it's a pain in the neck, but apparently.
I only tried to get within $3,000.
Apparently, we're $86,000 short over the course of the past 17 years of doing a transfer station. That's all it comes down to.
Okay.
It's, you say if we're close, if we're in $5,000, you're okay. Well, we've got 17 years of $5,000, so that means we're well into that with 86,000.
Well, we've never been out this much before. Maybe the bookkeeping's getting better.
I think a lot of the bookkeeping is getting a lot better. And I think the big change going from calendar to fiscal year messed up a lot of things in terms of that will be covered and cleaned up this year, including.
So I have
I'm not gonna
one,
say it with-
so I have one more question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
The audit that we received for the audit meeting
Yes.
and approved and put on record, is that what went to the state?
Yes, but it was restated and sent again.
That's correct.
Without you approving it in this room? And placing it on file, the new record?
I don't believe the council approves.
We don't,
The
we
audit.
just.
I thought you approved, I thought
we
you
receive
received
it
and placed
place
on
it on
file.
file. We don't approve the audit. The
Okay.
audit's approved by the Auditor General.
Thank you much, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any further questions on the transfer station? We're not going to make any votes tonight to set a sticker fee because again, it is a enterprise fund, which does not affect the overall general budget or the mill rate going forward. Mr. Gleason.
I want to try a different tact here. Obviously, the $86,000 deficit was concerning that we just found out about it. Sure, Kayla didn't feel too good about it either, but it is what it is. The transfer station sticker ending up at, if it ends up at $330 is still a reasonable increase, but could we not gain the $86,000 by looking at eliminating a gate guard? One possible option. Initially, I thought that a lot of the money that was missing, so to speak, was as a result of money that was taken in by, by our tax department for stickers for calendar year starting in 25, while we were in the $380 sticker period of 18 months. And I thought it was just rolled into the general fund. So I'm hearing that's not the case. So there's no way to pull, there's no extra money in the general fund from this era, right? It's just past mistakes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
correct. It
Yep.
does, it doesn't go into the rainy day fund. Let's,
Yep.
let's use rainy day
Yep.
when we're talking about rolling things
yep,
over.
yep. So that's not an
Makes life
option.
easier, I think.
Yep. So, the other thing is, going back to a part-time, waste management program director. We could save some money there. So I just throw those options out for this council to consider. When I say a gate guard, I mean somebody that works for MEGA. There's two people up there now. We could go to one person with the truck driver that shows up every other day or whatever his schedule is. And that would help fund the sticker at the lower price. You'd get down to back to $290 or $300 again by taking that 86,000 deficit out. But I think, I just throw it out, I think our bigger concerns are going to be with curbside. So we want to move on to that.
I think Mr. Fitzmaurice has a question on the transfer station, I'm sure, but I think the first thing we would have to look at is that contractually allowable under the contract we have with Waste Diversion. It's technically not MEGA, but it is MEGA. Waste Connections, thank you. I know it's waste something.
I agree with you. I think he's just considered an extra man
Yeah. Well,
in the
we
contract, but it
just-
would have to be reviewed.
we have to review it.
Yeah, and I just throw it out
Yeah.
to take a look at it.
Ms. Patel?
And I'd just like to add that I think when the ad hoc committee continues in its work in those two areas, both Headley and curbside, those kind of things will probably come to the forefront. That's my
That could be
my
part of
guess.
the recommendation.
Yeah.
With the thought process that the recommendation, if you don't finish soon enough, would be for the following fiscal year, because we have to do a budget before June.
It will be done.
Mr. Fitzmaurice. Thank you, Mr. President. Larry Fitzmaurice, 50 Kristen Court. This is a 10% increase year over year in the sticker price, as I calculated. And from what I've heard, we believe that we've reached something of a accounting stability in the calculations here. But I'm presuming that the 10% includes bringing us whole on the deficit. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So the next year, we should not expect a 10% increase. Okay.
Assuming the same number of signups, yes.
All things being equal.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on the transfer station? Mr. Casson?
You're going to limit me to the transfer station, that's going to be bad. But I want to ask one question. Curbside pickup, and we're thinking about a new cost for Prudence, another way to do cost.
Mhm.
It's been the experience in Middletown that we've only had an 80% participation rate.
Middletown's program and our program are completely different.
Stop.
Middletown's program and our program are completely different.
They are, but we're only experiencing an 80% participation rate. If that happens in these self-supporting funds, right? The two, maybe three, because I don't know whether you're going to take any recommendations coming from the ad hoc committee. I don't know whether they have any other than a little bit better bookkeeping, which we're finding out already. But the question is, when they run short, okay? And there was a letter here, I didn't make it to the last meeting. There's a letter circulating that's gonna be sent out. Can payment be demanded?
In terms of if at the end of the fiscal year,
Anytime, anytime.
it would have to be the end of the fiscal year. If there was a deficit in the enterprise fund, we could send a letter out to the existing enterprise fund users to say, hey, we're running a deficit, you owe us another $10. Is that your question?
Well, no, it's the people that aren't participating because in the audit. it
We
says
have,
that
we have a letter we are sending out to the 1,200 households that aren't.
In the
participating
audit,
Either one.
again, in the audit, there's 816 businesses. I can see where 816 businesses would not participate.
Businesses aren't required to participate in the enterprise fund.
And neither are
or curbside.
But we're requiring our residents, if they're part of that 816, to participate. So I guess my question to you, Mr. President, to ask legal would be, if in fact we develop a fee and nobody pays, we have non-participant, but they're also not causing anything, can we demand payment from them? Because it's not a tax, Mr. President.
Are you talking about prudence or are you talking about?
I'm talking
Curbside.
about prudence, I'm talking about the transfer
So
station.
what you're
and I'm
suggesting,
talking
if we
about-
have a deficit in any of our funds,
No, I'm not suggesting, I'm asking, can we
No.
demand payment?
No.
And I get a legal opinion, you ask the lawyer if that's possible. Because that may be some of our deficit, I don't know.
so your question is it, as you said, I'm trying to not put words in your mouth because I don't want to, but we have 1,200 households who aren't participating on.
I don't believe it's that high, but go ahead.
Okay, we have 1,200 households that are not participating in either the curbside or the transfer station. We're going to leave prudence out of it. Your suggestion is if we have a deficit, send them all a bill.
No, that wasn't my question.
That sounded like. your
My question was, are we legally, according to the solid waste, because it's not a tax, we can't sell a house, it's a fee. Can we require them to pay?
So now you're asking, can we put a lien on a house?
Nope, nope.
Okay, the answer is no.
I think
I
that's
don't
right.
think there's not a mechanism in the ordinance for us to go after somebody if they don't pay or they don't join one of them.
Enterprise funds are intended to be user fees, and I think once you move from a voluntary user fee to a mandatory payment, I think you're bleeding into the world of taxes. You'd have to budget it differently, I would think.
We'd probably also need enabling legislation.
And you'd probably need a labeling legislation, right? The General Assembly allows you to levy real property and personal property taxes, but it doesn't allow you to, I don't think, at least not that I've seen, assess mandatory fees across the full spectrum of residents. So I think you can assess it as enterprise funds always do. They assess it to the users. It's the goal of those funds.
They assess to the participants.
Correct.
Voluntary participants.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to curbside as quickly as we can because we still have an executive session after this
Okay, so if we
and
can just pull up.
don't want to
the
be here till
year-end.
midnight.
Okay, so with respect to curbside year end, this program is operating as designed, but as alluded to, participation is below projections, which is affecting the financial outcome. So as we close out the first year of the program, we're seeing results that are generally consistent with how a new program like this tends to perform in the first year. We projected approximately 4,000 households would participate in the program, and as of today, we have approximately 3,225. That gap in participation is the primary factor affecting the financial performance of the program. The program itself is operating as designed. Routes are being serviced, collections are occurring as scheduled, and the contract is being executed as intended. The cost of the operating the system does not decrease significantly with fewer subscribers, because the same routes are run, the same equipment is used, and the same staffing is required. So when participation is lower than projected, the cost is spread out across fewer households. That's an enterprise fund. We're also seeing indications that waste volumes are higher than expected relative to participation, and recycling levels are lower than anticipated. That suggests that participation and usage behavior are both factors in the current results. This is not unusual for a first-year program. It's typical that a program takes some time for participation levels to equalize and usage patterns to stabilize. As we move into the next fiscal year, the focus will be on increasing participation, improving waste diversion, and continuing public outreach. So in summary, the program is functioning as intended, but participation levels are below projections, which are impacting the financial income. So this program, because we did not meet the 4,000 anticipated households, and including the pre-expended advertising costs, which are accounted for obviously in the very top, which will be accounted for next cycle in the deficit. So this program for this year ended with a $234,993,000 deficit. So if we move on to the projected budget. So as with the transfer station, again, this is an enterprise fund, which means that the cost of the program is supported entirely by the voluntary users of the program. Based on current projections, the proposed annual subscription cost is approximately $620 per household, which reflects an increase of $160 over the current year. And again, the primary cause of that increase is participation. We projected approximately 4,000 households will participate. We currently have approximately 3,225 households enrolled. So that is the number that we used in projecting the sticker price. We don't see, without a huge influx of people, which we would be happy to see, but we think it's prudent to use that same number in projecting the cost of the sticker for next year. So the cost of this program is now being spread across roughly 700 to 800 fewer households than anticipated. And the operating cost of the system has not changed in any meaningful way, though. So with fewer participants, the cost per household increases. We also believe that some level of shared use is contributing to this gap. It's also important to keep in mind that the current program provides weekly trash collection, weekly recycling collection, and seasonal yard waste collection. And even with the proposed increase, the cost remains below what many residents were paying prior to the implementation of this curbside program. This is the first full year of the program, and again, I just want to state, it's not uncommon to see adjustments in participation levels as this thing stabilizes. And just to reiterate, going forward, our focus will be on increasing participation, improving recycling rates, and continuing public outreach and education. So that letter to non-participating households that we discussed earlier is part of that effort. So the proposed fiscal year 27 price reflects the actual cost of operating the program under current participation levels and positions us to stabilize the program moving forward. So moving forward, obviously, if we're programming 3,225 households, and we had thought we were going to get 5,000 or 4,000 this year. Next year, we're only going to budget or factor in 3,225 households. This should stabilize, and it should be expected that we would see a drop in the curbside sticker cost next year. So the proposal is a curbside sticker cost of, it came out to $322 or $622. We would propose $620 to round it off.
Okay, so to recap some of the highlights or lowlights, we're 800 short of roughly 1,200 households that haven't signed up. Prior to the switch, we know Waste Management had about 3,000 households, and MEGA had about 1,000 households, and then a bunch of other smaller ones scattered in there. So we know that there were over 4,000 people utilizing curbside pickup prior to this program. The thought process was a lot of people were just going to bail and go to the transfer station, which didn't happen because the number at the transfer station has also gone down. The amount of trash we're throwing out by industry averages, curbside, is over what was expected for 4,000 households, but we only have 3,200 households. So we can only reasonably assume that there's a lot of barrel sharing and sticker sharing going on, and a lot of extra waste is being tossed in without being paid for. That's plain and simple as I see it. Anybody can try and prove me wrong, but that's what's happening out there. Ms. Carcella, you're going to try and prove me wrong, but I'm going to disagree with you.
Chris Carceller, 63 Leaps Road. It's March Madness, and I guess I'm participating because it's March and I'm pretty mad about a 35% increase for curbside pickup. As many of you know, I was never in favor of our town getting involved in curbside garbage pickup. I spoke to both the previous council and this one, asking you not to enter into this contract for several important reasons. One of my biggest concerns was the assumption that 4,000 households would sign up for curbside service. I told you then that this number was unrealistic. I personally know many residents who do not use curbside pickup, and for good reason. Some are not full-time residents and take their trash with them when they leave. Some elderly residents I know rely on family members since they can't leave the house. Some business owners dispose of waste at their workplaces. Others share services simply because they cannot afford the cost. So you're not wrong. I don't blame any of these people. They are doing what they need to do, and despite being told I should be frustrated with them, I am not. My frustration lies with the decision to move forward with a contract based on numbers that were never accurate to begin with. I actually don't see any less or more garbage cans in the 5 neighborhoods that I walk every single day. Everybody who had curbside before has curbside now, so I don't know where these numbers were coming from. Now we are being asked to accept a 35% increase in curbside pickup from $460 to $622 a year. Why? Because the original projections were wrong, and now residents are being asked to make up the difference, on top of paying even more going forward. This is exactly what I warned you that would happen. And here's something else that doesn't make sense. Before this contract, many residents using Mega, Waste Management, and others, including myself, were paying around $450. I paid less. Now Mega has significantly more customers through this town-wide contract, so logically prices should be going down for them, not skyrocketing. Instead, we're seeing a 35% increase. That's hard to justify, and frankly, it's concerning. I spent 25 years doing business with Waste Management. Every year I negotiated my rate. If I were ever faced with a 35% increase, I would have had the freedom to walk away and find a more affordable option. But under this contract, residents no longer have that choice. We are locked in. And also, we are locked in. They don't get a military discount any longer, and they don't get a senior discount any longer. We are locked in. My family chose curbside for the convenience. It was one of the services we paid for to save time. Now we're being priced out of it. Some council members previously mentioned the possibility of incorporating garbage costs back into taxes. Maybe now is the time to seriously consider that, even if it's not the full cost. Perhaps a portion could be covered to provide relief, both for those using curbside and those relying on the transfer station. You're talking about mandating people who are not voluntarily using these programs. This is how you get them to help pay. You don't send them letters and beg them to do it. You put it through the taxes like they used to be here in town. With this kind of increase, many residents will leave curbside service. I did a Facebook poll. 7% of the people said they will be leaving curbside to go to transfer station. My family will be one of them. Others may stay for now, but how long before they too reach their limit? This pattern is not sustainable over the next 4 years under the current contract. I also asked last year for a comprehensive survey of every residence to determine how many people actually handle their waste, curbside, transfer station, or other. That request was dismissed with assurances that the numbers were already known. Clearly, they were not. And now the cost of that miscalculation is being placed on the residents who voluntarily use the service. It's not voluntary when you want to use curbside because you only have one choice now. That's it. It's not voluntary. There are also operational concerns. We were told that issues would be handled through the town, yet residents are now being directed to contact the contractor directly, despite not having individual contracts with MTG. That lack of clarity needs to be addressed in the future. Who is responsible for helping our residents when problems arise? At the end of the day, this comes down to affordability and fairness. People are already struggling with rising costs. Gas is through the roof. Heating oil is through the roof. Electricity is insane in Rhode Island. And now we're adding significant increases for basic services like garbage. If you think people are sharing services now, just wait until next year. It's time to consider solutions that support this community, whether that means revisiting how garbage is funded, renegotiating terms, cutting a $48,000 truck we pay for at a curbside, or simply acknowledging that this model is not working. Something needs to change. Our town should be helping its residents, not placing additional burdens on them. So I ask you not to approve this curbside pickup sticker price, which is an increase of 35%. And I have a quick question about the budget I just saw. It says, curbside pays 67% of the employee. With our numbers down, is that number changed from last year, or did it stay the same?
It stayed the same, so we're applying 2/3 to curbside, 1/3 to.
But so how many transfer station people now and curbside numbers do we have? Is that number appropriate for the coming year?
That's a good question. We can relook at the ratio.
Okay.
3225 for curbsides for programming. And we're looking at 2,200 about for transfer stations. So it's a good point.
So if we could look at that to make sure it's even, so people in one program aren't paying for people in the other. But I still, I would ask this council to look at, I know you can't put it all back in the taxes. Maybe we could put a portion of it, give people a chance. There's people who cannot pay $622 a year, but they can't also get in their car and go to the transfer station. We need to think about everybody. And if we're going to think about everybody, goes in the taxes, everybody pays, everybody benefits. That's how we used to have it. I wish we went back to that.
Mr. Boyd.
Scott Boyd, 12 Kensington Avenue. Sometimes say 20 because I lived there for so long, but now at 12. The truck, I asked about the truck in the past, so I'll ask about the truck again. That's in this budget at $4,000 a month. Who drives the truck? A town employee or a mega employee?
Maybe. It's a small truck.
This truck was added because they needed a small truck. We asked for service on small inaccessible roads and private roads. They couldn't do it with the same size truck that they service other trucks with. So at our request, this truck was added to service those customers.
It was not in the contract that they would also service these inaccessible locations from the get-go?
No, it was an add-on.
Okay, well, that would explain it, but I thought it was originally in the request for proposal that we would service 70-odd homes
That's-
that were inaccessible.
That's different. That's
That's
for
different.
Seniors
Okay,
than
so we're
private roads.
different animals. Okay, right.
There are 75 that have.
Right, we had like a set aside in the contract, I believe, to anticipate that there were going to be some number of citizens that weren't able-bodied enough to get their bins
To the end of that, right?
where they needed to be, right? Okay, so that doesn't really have anything to do with the truck.
Right.
The truck is more to access the roads that the big truck can't get down.
Correct.
Okay. And we're paying for it as a line item only because we didn't think to put it in the original RFQ and get it built into the program. Right? We could have built it into the program, said, you have to come up with a solution to get to every property, right? At the RFQ stage. So when we do this again in 3 years, maybe we look at addressing that, rolling it in so that it isn't this separate line item that I'm going to keep picking at because it just doesn't feel right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and as far as who can you send a bill to and demand that they pay, we went through that, Mr. Kesson. That was a healthcare thing.
Healthcare. Mr. Carcel.
Hey, Sal Carceller, 63 Leaps Road. Entertain me for a minute. This is just a sanity check. So one of the premises of tax relief is to have businesses in the town, right? Lower residential taxes with businesses, lower residential taxes by other means. The garbage program right now doesn't take advantage of that. It doesn't do any of that. It actually puts the entire burden on those families that can afford it the least. So I did some numbers, but I want to verify them. Is our budget roughly $78 million for the year?
Current budget, yes.
Okay. How much do we spend all in? I don't need all the little, just all in. How much does, if you were to pay all the bills for the transfer station and curbside, what would be the total cost? I came up with my number, but I want to know if I'm right. Roughly.
2.2 or is it 2.3?
That's what I came up with, 2.3,
Yeah.
looking at the current budget.
That would require, I'll go down the rabbit hole you're going down.
Oh, hold
To
on.
maintain current services and put all of that trash into the current budget would require roughly a 10 or 11% tax increase in 1 year.
Okay, oh, it's okay. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to show the ludicrousy of what we did. So let's round it to 2.5 million, all in. Let's assume that we're off a few $100,000. All in cost for garbage in Portsmouth for both curbside and transfer stations, 2.5 million. If I add 2.5 million to a $78 million budget, it becomes 80.5 million. That's a 3.2% increase to the budget. I know where you're coming from, President Hamilton, that we have other increases. I get that. I'm not doing this for that purpose. I'm doing
It's
this.
not just other increases. You can't just add it to the top line budget. You have to add it to where we get our taxes from. So we can only go up a certain percentage, which is 4, of the tax levy. So in order to get that $2.5 million, it's a lot more than that 3.5%.
I get that.
right.
Just entertain. I
I
understand
got,
all
I'm
of
just,
this. So now, for those listening today, if you have a $5,000 tax bill and you add 3.2% to a $5,000 tax bill, it's $160 a year. If you add 3.2% to a $10,000 tax bill, it's $320 a year. If you add 3.2% to a $20,000 tax bill, it's $640 a year. However, if you had that $5,000 tax bill at $160 a year, you would be entitled to use the transfer station and the curbside, both. Think about that deeply. What are you really doing here to the residents that use the curbside? And you're worried about participation? Participation would be automatic. So I go back to my wife's point Christine made. I hear you. I keep hearing this argument, we can't put it into the taxes. Well, we better start. I'm not saying put it all in, but I think it's a wonderful idea to revisit, maybe put 20% in, 10% this year. Come up with a plan to put this garbage back in its place the way it was in the taxes, where everybody pays their fair share. The administrator mentioned how to distribute costs. I can't think of a better way to distribute costs. The costs are distributed based on your property value. If the town wants to be in the business of town services, they need to be done at property value. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Any other questions, concerns? Mr. Kessin? Which page on the budget or the audit do we have to go to? That one? Okay. I'm just trying to anticipate it.
You won't get there.
All right. You pull up the mic a little bit.
So on the curbside pickup and the transfer station?
Pull the mic up a little bit. You're a
On the-
little bit tall.
Paul Kessin, 3241 East Main Road. So on the curbside pickup and the transfer station, do the costs include any fuel charges? Because in the ad hoc committee, we started seeing,
As in fuel surcharges from.
yeah,
that
because
may be applied.
they ended up being pretty big, and I don't have my laptop with me. We were getting fuel charges for the ferry. I think we were getting fuel charges from Lawrence.
I think the bigger issue with the ferry is the new rates that they want to charge.
They haven't had an increase in 10 years.
Agreed.
Can you imagine if we did that with the taxes? Sal, where's Sal? Where's Sal?
Imagine. We probably wouldn't have a police or a fire department.
You only need them on a bad day.
Give
Or
it.
maybe the blizzard once every 100 years.
We needed more than just them, but So have we started seeing any fuel surcharges?
That's incorporated into the escalator that's built into the curbside. So the curbside has an escalator, the CPIU for garbage, waste, sewer, trash. That was 4.7. The transfer station, that contract does not include an escalator, so cost is fixed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes? All right.
Yeah, I just
You
wanted
you
to.
turned it on and off and on again, so I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
you were really going. Okay.
I just wanted to get back to the truck question. I think originally the truck was part of the contract, correct? And then it was taken out. Is that correct?
No, the plan was, they did a survey of the roads that they could do, the roads that they couldn't do. And the roads
Okay.
that they couldn't do, the plan was that those people would transport their bins down to the nearest big road that a truck could get down, much like Middletown does it. We were asked to try to accommodate those residents. So the only way that Mega could accommodate those residents was to get a smaller truck. And we had agreed to that because we wanted to be able to offer this service to those people.
So it wasn't in the contract and then taken out for us, right? I mean, it wasn't originally in the contract and that was an addendum?
Well, you're asking if it was, excuse me, or not in the contract, but originally in the RFP.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Eh,
And I believed it was, right? Well, the RFP became the contract.
Truly
so-
have to go back and look at it.
I think, I don't know, I remember this discussion about the truck. And then when the truck, when we still own the truck, correct? Or we don't?
We do not.
But we bought it?
Incorporated into the contract price, that is the cost of the truck per year. That's
Yeah, I
what it
knew
is.
there was something funny.
It's a lease. All right. Do you need any action from us at this point for the curbside sticker fee?
Like you to vote for it.
Okay.
I just want to make a couple comments. The increase last year, the refuse and the recycling costs were $590,500. They have increased to $618,253.50 per program, per refuse or recycling. And that is $56,000 alone, and we can expect that for every year due to the CPI adder that's in the contract.
Just
It's part of the contract.
Yeah, it's,
That's a big.
CPIU number as of December 31st each year. We don't have any control over that.
Right.
Ms. McDowell?
Yeah, this was a question that I had when we looked at Headley. But in our backup here, it's a minor question, but there's different amounts attributed to truck tires. There's a $250 in one, there's a $21 for another, and a $10. They're all three different prices. Is that?
In the transfer station.
Depends on I'm not sure which budget you're looking at, but there is a different fee for different size tires.
Yeah, there's truck and there's regular.
There's truck and regular, and
But-
then
But truck tires, shouldn't they be consistent across the board?
it depends on how many we're going to receive. We try to forecast how many you're going to receive. So year end, we have a number, and then we try to figure out how much, we forecast how many
Right,
we're going to
I
get
know,
next
but
year.
it's an amount that's attributed to the quantity, it appears for individual ones, no?
Right, but people pay for a tire.
Right.
Right.
So it doesn't affect the sticker fee because it should just, it's a guesstimate of how many are gonna come in. People pay the cost to remove the tire individually.
Okay, I'll show you what I'm doing.
No, I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't affect the sticker price because the sticker price is paying for more of the refuge than to remove the
I
tire.
know that, but when we're doing our work in the ad hoc, I mean, we have to have the right figures. That's all I'm saying. And they had three different ones.
Mr. Kessin?
Mr. Kessinger. So Mary, there are two different prices for tires.
Right,
One
a
is
regular
passenger size and then a truck
And a
tire.
truck tire.
Correct.
But the truck tire, along with the three different scenarios, have a different price associated with each one. That's all I'm saying.
It's a small amount, it's a very small amount of revenue.
It is, I'm just saying, it's.
But
different
it's,
for each
the
one.
truck tires are now $21. That's, I think what
The
you're
truck
saying.
tires.
Truck
So,
tires are now
so how
$21.
come it's not in all of them? How come, it doesn't reflect that in all of them?
All of them what?
In the,
There's 21.
The $21 was a data entry error by one of my clerks. It was for 3 blue bins. It comes under the, I'm sorry, it comes under the transfer station miscellaneous costs. That's all it is. The tires are consistent. They have 2 prices.
$21. for a truck
$21.
tire.
What about we go to the next question?
Mhm.
I'm just saying, it could be different prices for the same thing, that's all.
Okay. Any further discussion on, we're gonna move away from the transfer station, how you got back there, I don't know, but we're talking about curbside. At 620, were you rounding down to 620 or were you rounding up to, we keeping it 622?
I've just found what Counselor McDowell's looking at. So the $10 fee did not get raised to $21 in that discussion item for Headley with the Prudence Island. And we'll make sure that gets corrected.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Does the council have any opinion or would like to make a motion to approve the $620 sticker fee for the curbside for the next fiscal year?
Mr. President, I certainly wouldn't like to. I really feel bad for those folks. We're in a position now where this goes back to 2022. I wasn't on the council. 2020, yeah. Case being made that we went to larger containers. We got rid of the orange bags and we are not hitting any kind of recycling rates. And I don't know if that needs to come back into the discussion.
We can.
We're 22% right now for curbside. We're at 32%. And looking at, I didn't look at these latest numbers, but this 50 pounds of trash per month on the curbside, that's more than there is on the transfer side, So we need, whatever we do here, we need more education in town. The money that we get from RIREC has dwindled down to a lot smaller amount. And I don't know if we're going to make the same kind of money that we have budgeted in here. I get it, Mr. Rayner. It's a guess.
We don't know
Nobody
what
has
they're
a
gonna do
crystal
either.
ball
Yeah.
here. But, my plea is out there that we need to do more as a town to, get our rates up higher. And, if we're sticker sharing, we need to do something about that as well. Maybe that's the reason why there's more trash there. I don't know. But,
The trash numbers are pretty accurate in terms of how much a household uses.
yeah.
The fact that we're well over the tonnage for 4,000 households means that we are certainly getting refuge into multiple households into one bin. There's no other
That's
way
our
around it.
guess. Or we're just not recycling. I don't know.
That's definitely part of it. But all of those changes that you mentioned, the 96 gallon bins.
Yep.
And not doing pay as you throw were all requests of the citizens who wanted to keep curbside.
Right.
And, the reality is if you go onto a website now and look at waste management, it's $74.25. If you wanted waste connections or one of those, it was $243 a quarter. It's still less expensive
still
than the
less.
market price.
I agree.
And we can and will do better next year as things settle out, as Mr. Rayner has stated. Once everything kind of finds its level, I mean, I don't have the stomach to go after and a 90-year-old grandmother who throws out one bag a week.
I agree.
But there are others who are legitimately not doing it the right way. Mr. Ferriero?
Vice President Gleason, was that a motion that you?
It sounded like a reluctant motion.
Yeah, I was just,
It wasn't a motion. I know we need
Yeah.
to do something here. I just don't like the increase that we have
But there
before
are,
us. And I don't want to be chastised in the Portsmouth
No.
Times for doing this because it wasn't my fault and I.
but
I
there are
apologize.
other options. We could go to pay as you throw on curbside, which would reduce the sticker fee and people would pay more.
Yeah.
Um,
But would
the
require
higher
more
users,
monitoring.
right, would hire Colby to work harder.
Or
Sorry.
more
Colby.
cameras.
It would hopefully force people more into thinking about what they're putting into the bin as opposed to putting into the recycling bin. We could stop yard waste. You know, we have more yard waste going up to the central landfill than any other city or town in Rhode Island. How that is or why
Appears
that is,
that way.
I don't know. It's insane how much yard waste we send to, you know, we have to borrow cap money, cap space from other towns because of the amount of yard waste we put out. You can recycle, you can compost. But Mr. Ferriero?
Let's just go back. I'll let you give you the floor in a minute. Just the subject of the pay as you throw bags wasn't popular when we did it at the transfer station. It was a recommendation by the recycling committee.
Correct.
For a reason, you know, to reduce our waste and to increase the stream to pay for everything. That may be necessary here. If, as a minimum, just look at it as a threat. If people aren't going to change and we need more money, it's an option that we have.
Well, it's not that we need more money, it creates.
It
If you
creates
and
more
I,
money.
if you and I are sharing a bin and I gotta buy the bags.
Yeah.
It's a lot more expensive for me to pay $1 a bag than it is to pay $3.50 for 20 bags.
All right.
So that revenue would increase that way, so it would,
If everybody
reduce
was
the
buying
feeding a little
bags
bit.
and doing it right,
correct.
it would be a better program for
It,
everybody.
it would be less expensive and higher users would pay more money. But Ms. Ferriero?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be the one to make the reluctant motion. And yes, the sticker shock is something that I am concerned about, but you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said what the average price is for waste management if we were all going private. And I was one of those people that's paying the same amount. You and I live in the same neighborhood. My only call to action would be is if you are not signed up, please sign up. The sharing, we all have to then brunt the cost of it. We want to be able to next year drive the cost down, but the only way we can do this is through utilization. I will say what you're getting for the price is great. There is weekly pickup, weekly recycling. The lawn is one of the, probably for me, as those of us that like probably mow weekly or every other week, although Keith comes by my house all the time and tells me I need to mow more often, is absolutely amazing. What you're getting for the product is great. Yes, this is a sticker shock this year, but we need the utilization. That's my only thing that I will implore everyone to do. It is, I will do it reluctantly, but at the same time, the administrator needs this ability in order to be able to present the budget on Friday. So I will motion that we increase the sticker to the recommended 620.
I have a question.
Is there, before you ask a question, is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Gleason.
Thank you.
Now your question.
Question. Have we looked at if we maintain the same sticker price as this current amount, that delta, and we put that into taxes? No.
If, let's start with, we're up against the wall on the budget in general,
Right.
Specifically because we just got hit with a 16% increase in healthcare. And we have to factor in the potential for a bond for school projects next year. So we are already up against the wall at this point in time. to put anything more in, it is going to be difficult. I think if we wait 1 year, let the water find its level in terms of the curbside and the transfer station. As I mentioned, they both went, the number of users for both services went down significantly in this town. We're down 140 roughly people at the transfer station, and we're down 800 to 1,200 people, depending on whose numbers you want to look at, doing curbside. It is what it is. Once we get to a level at both facilities, then we could potentially start looking at rolling in, whether it be $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year. But people are going to have to start to make hard choices. I mean, it's simple to use Sal's numbers, the $78 million, and say it's 3%, but it's not, because it's what we can levy off of, and that's where the money's coming from. It doesn't factor in all the other things. Our levy is $51 million. I'm sorry. So whatever it is. It's going up from that, not the $78 million. So we're talking a 10, 11, 12% increase in 1 year if you want to just roll that in.
Just the delta?
Not the delta, the whole kit and
Yeah.
caboodle.
Yeah, I'm saying
Um,
not the whole kit and
right.
caboodle, but just the delta to maintain another year at
At
a
the
sim-
60.
at a similar price, yeah.
Well, but would you do the same thing? You would have to do the same thing for the transfer station users and say, we're going to maintain that 290 and cover the $40 or $30, whatever it ends up being.
Yes, that's what I'm wondering.
That would also probably create a structural deficit for the next year.
No, well, yeah, no,
Yes,
because if you would have to maintain that in that.
Yes, you would have to
fund.
maintain it, but you're talking about when
Yep.
it comes to utilization and those numbers. And the way that the enterprise fund is structured.
You would have to maintain that. Every year, you would have to take that $243,000. The number.
Saying while we're getting started and while we're kicking off and an attempt to get more people signed up and to mitigate impact to citizens, to maintain the same cost.
You're talking about, and I'm gonna round, $330,000 of taxpayer money to close the gap on both funds. The 86 on the transfer and the 243 roughly on the curbside.
Mhm.
That 300,000, you'll find out on Friday, but I don't think that $330,000 exists. Not without going well over the cap.
Because of,
And-
because of the healthcare.
Because, well, the healthcare,
And
bond issues, all kinds of costs, contractual obligations. Yes, Mr. Boyd.
Very briefly, Keith, Scott Boyd again, 12 Kensington. So doing what Saunders proposing, everyone in the town will be paying whether they use the service or not. That may incentivize some of these people to then come into the programs.
It might.
At some point, they're going to say, I'm getting taxed for a little more money. I can actually use the service. And this might be the way that we bring it in over a number of years. As these cost escalations come, if we take them if we build them into the budget and just hold the line on these costs as they are today, over the years, eventually, we're almost there. When we go to renegotiate this contract, then we really can work on the last piece of it, but we're starting to bite off more and more of it as we go.
Right. Well, one of the things that's going to happen at the end of the contract is we own the barrels. That
Sure.
takes $42 off the top in 5 years.
Great. Yep,
So
yeah, that's good.
I'm
But
guessing
I'm just saying,
$50, right?
conceptually, what she's exploring there may be a way to start to get it
Or is it
into the general tax base.
Or it's
And then to
$42.
also tip the scales for the people who are looking at it going,
And
why do
I'm
I
right
want to
there with
do
you.
it?
But we
Why
have
do I
to do
want
it in the context of the entire budget.
Yep, I
And Until
understand.
we see the entire budget,
No, and I understand that you've
that's
got
tough.
everything else in the budget that competes with it.
Yep.
But I'm just saying it's a concept that's worth exploring. Like, the way I'm hearing it from the audience tonight, you guys are voting on a motion that's just going to establish that next year curbside is this new price.
We have to establish a number at some point.
Right, we do, but I'm not,
But we can
I wasn't
also-
expecting it was going to be tonight again because,
But we can also
Yep.
direct staff to look into those options
Yep.
to see how they would fit into the budget.
Right. When
We
is,
also have a committee looking into all these options.
where's the line when the council doesn't come back and rediscuss it? Is there a point at which,
It'll be discussed during the budget process.
right,
on
so it could be
April
modified
29th,
some more throughout the budget process?
Right?
If you move this motion tonight, it's not done.
It's
It
not
could
dead,
still
no,
be
because we.
discussed
the ad
and
hoc committee
changed.
is going to come back with
Right.
recommendations,
Right.
but
Right.
we need to start placing numbers in the budget. We
Understand.
Just move the budget process.
Understand.
forward.
Thank you.
To echo what the president said, that's exactly it. Just to give the administrator a number to work with, I think that I'd rather go high and come down from it than us doing it the other way around.
Mr. Kessin, I'm going to ask you to hold on a second because Ms. Gleason is holding.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Keith. Karen Gleason again, 63 Massasoit. I caution you, I believe you're getting off track a little bit when you're starting to talk about putting it into taxes. But I will just add to that. There were people in the past that, wanted to close the station, transfer station. So I caution people thinking about rolling it into the tax base because it could possibly lead to only choosing one venue and not having two as an option. So I just want you to try to remember that going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Kessin.
One of these crazy out of the box proposals. You only said that containers were $41,000? Is that what they were?
On a yearly basis.
Oh, on a yearly basis.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head from the proposal last year. It's 42,000 per container per year. So times two, so 84,000. a year.
Right, but I would suggest instead of doing, because nobody wants to do bag,
137,000.
137 per year? Okay.
right? So 137 per year. We haven't looked at curbside and the ad hoc. Our recycling rates are pretty high or pretty low. We also have a $2,500 rebate in this that we probably won't get in this curbside price. But maybe we will. Is it easier to force people to buy in when you actually use a smaller container?
We own the containers at this point.
I understand that.
So,
So
If-
collect them, store them,
and buy more containers?
and
That's-
buy smaller ones because it's an investment as opposed to,
So now you're going to be adding, we're going to go.
I don't know what the number is.
You're
I don't
looking
do
at a
that study.
35% increase to a 75% increase. I'm just guessing at a number, but it's,
No, I'm not saying bill them. I'm saying have the town buy in. So we force recycling. I don't know what that number means.
that number means a lot if you're talking about buying.
I thought it was only 41,000 when I heard you in the back of the room.
No, that's,
That's a yearly cost.
yes.
Okay, I'll go to sleep again.
And then, Mr. Kessin, also for those that were moving from waste, especially waste management, the size tote that we have was the equivalent. So it would incentivize people to join because things would have been all things equal. Sorry, I'm getting tired now.
Right, and I get that, but there was a mass study out, it's in the correspondence, and it says, like page throw bags, unless you're forced to make a decision, you're not gonna recycle. And if we had 36-gallon containers, all right, they would force it to be in the recycle bin rather than throw it in the waste. And maybe we wouldn't have 4,400 people producing waste based on the waste number. And we really only would have 3,200 people that are actually participating. I don't know what the number is. I'm trying to say there's another solution. I misread Keith's cost at 41,000. I didn't realize that was a year rather than for the full containers. If that would force the recycling and the covers were interchangeable as they got damaged, you could then recoup the cost of the containers we own now.
All right. Let's start. We have a motion and a second. I think it was a reluctant motion and a reluctant second, but
Can I
either
just
way.
ask for clarification on the motion? Would that motion be considered a placeholder at this time? Is that your intention?
Well,
Well,
everything,
I think anything's a placeholder.
everything in the budget's a placeholder.
That's just to be clear.
I
Yeah.
mean, we still have the ad hoc committee to come back, and if other information comes forward that can make us lower this, like I said, we could, if we kicked out yard waste, it would lower the price, but I think a lot of people would be upset about that because a lot of people want the yard waste. We have asked about weekly waste and biweekly recycling, but we need a sister community to be able to do that with, and we don't have one. Meaning they do Portsmouth even weeks and they go to Bristol the odd weeks. That makes sense. I'm not saying Bristol, but just because they're across the bridge, and we talked about them tonight. So staff continues on a daily basis. Colby, Rich, Gavin, and Paul are looking at ways to try and cut the costs. The biggest thing to me is we have to figure out why we have over 4,000 households of trash and only 3,200 households signed up. That's it. And I'll go back to the same numbers. We reduced the number of people at the transfer station, even though it was supposed to explode because of the curbside contract. Waste Management said they had to pick up 6,000 bins, which means they have 3,000 customers. MEGA told us they had 1,000 customers. We already have 4,000. And then you had Jamestown, Republic, Waste Innovations, and other companies in there that easily had another 500, 600 customers. So there are customers out there who are doing something with their trash other than taking it to work, taking it to Cape Cod, taking it to, whatever.
I think a reasonable path forward is to, I know we're reluctant before, but to consider the pay-as-you-throw for curbside.
That's another option as well. We can
and that-
pass the 620 and give suggestions to staff to come back with numbers. And the ad hoc committee is working on it as well.
Yes, and also request the administration to look at that subsidized method to keep the transfer station and curbside rates the same or mitigate some of the increase.
So to cover the deficit in both with taxpayer money.
Between pay-as-you-throw and considerations of looking into that.
That's pay-as-you-throw is separate from the consideration of covering the gaps with taxpayer money, taxes.
If we do both, I feel like we'll increase.
If I can just interject here, I don't want to lead anybody down a primrose path. I'm turning in a budget on Friday. As of tonight, we're over the cap. There's no capability to do this in this next budget. I got to figure out how to cut $100,000 out of this budget between now and Friday morning.
Would adding pay-as-you-throw help you?
No, because it's an
This is
enterprise.
an enterprise.
So this is independent, it pays for itself. This year it didn't. So we have a motion and a second to set the sticker fee for curbside at $620. We still have a full budget process and the ad hoc committee to come back with suggestions that may or may not lower it. Both processes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-3. New business number 9A. Ms. McDowell would like to request a prorated price of $50 for the last 3 months of the year for Prudence.
Well, I think what I'm going to do is this wasn't my agenda item. I did bring the option that Prudence Island brought to
Okay.
the committee with a prorated, but apparently, it's been discussed with Mr. Rayner and his staff to do the 50, which I think is a great idea, but this was not done by me. Thank you.
What just says your name on here?
No, that's it. Well, I just want, Councilor McDowell did discuss with me a proposal to implement a graduated month-by-month prorated fee for the remainder of the year. I discussed this with John Spadaro. I discussed this with Matt Helfand, the tax assessor, that we all think it's a great idea. However, their comeback was to suggest just a $50 prorated pass from now to the end of the year. The approach is simpler to administer, easier to implement. It's still fair to the seasonal people that are coming back prior to the start of the next fiscal year. And it definitely avoids an unnecessary administrative burden. So we're all on the same page, but the chair and the tax assessor are just recommending, just make it a flat fee.
Right. So whether I am a Prudence Island resident and I need a sticker for April, May, and June, I'm paying $50 total.
Just
If
$50.
if I pick it up June 1st when I come over, or May
$50.
31st, it's $50.
$50.
Do we have a process in place for this?
Not yet, but we'll have one by Wednesday.
And do you have any thoughts of what it might be? Because I do think that it's important to have a process that makes sense and not just another, piece of paper that they get. Maybe when the letter that John sends out, maybe they can have the bottom of the letter where they fill it out and send in their check with the response. And maybe that would be one of the ways of doing it. Now, the other thing is, what are we going to use to indicate that they have bought the pass? That's the other question that I have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways we can skin the cat. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, we're going to be
Yeah.
recording.
The temporary pass, I
license
mean,
plates.
it's a simple placard or a piece of paper that says they paid. for
Maybe
3
even-
months. I mean,
Maybe
I wouldn't get the
my
sticker at
DPW
this
director
point.
might even have some ideas here.
They share. Yeah.
Matt does have enough stickers left that we could sell him a $50 sticker for the remainder of the
You
year.
could?
Okay.
That's great.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
John? You left. He's back. Are you there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a short-term thing, following on Paul Roderick's. I think we should use the same process we've used for the less than full year pass, and just have it purchased at the transfer station and have a piece of paper that shows an expiration date of June 30th and simple at this point, just to make it work.
Okay. We'll figure it out. And apparently we have enough stickers to do it. And just give them stickers for the 3 months, 1 month, 2 months. So is there a motion to approve the $50 prorated fee for Prudence Island for the rest of this fiscal year?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Next up, we have our correspondence. Is there anything on here that anybody wants to pull off? If not, speak now, forever hold your peace. Or somebody make a motion to receive and place on file items 1 through 18.
So moved.
There was one on here, related to the House bill that we didn't talk about. Should we still,
The 8029?
should we still receive it?
Yeah, that's from Tiverton.
Okay.
It's a specific enabling legislation just for Tiverton. So there's a motion and a second to receive all 18 items and place them on file.
Second.
First and a second over here, right?
Oh.
Carlos and.
Third.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Future meetings, we have our normal meeting on the 13th. On the 27th, we'll have our initial town council meeting and also a overview of the budget. Mr. Rayner, are we doing revenues on that Monday night like we normally do?
Yeah, we'll do revenues that Monday night. We'll do fire, police, DPW on Tuesday.
And school.
And school. And then on Wednesday, we'll start with all the other departments.
Okay.
The enterprise funds and the special revenue.
And then we'll have the 30th if we needed it. Okay.
And Mr. President, can I just note that I've already talked to Mr. Rayner about this, but I'll be out of town, out of the country for that week. And so I will not be here during those budget meetings.
Budget meetings are okay.
I was gonna say, if you feel like you need legal counsel, I'm sure we can solicit Solicitor Larissa for that, but
If you're gonna be in Italy, you better bring us back something nice.
Vietnam.
Never mind.
Hot sauce.
Vietnam. All right. We are now going to go into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining and also litigation. Can I have a motion to go into executive session, and then we'll have a 5-minute recess to clear?
So
everybody?
moved.
Second.
Hi, Rick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.